Hey guys, it's Giano from the photo assignment. Here with the first review and judging of all the images that you guys submitted. I'm extremely happy that our guest speaker today is guest speaker and judge is Marc-Anthony. He's an amazing photographer, as you can see his work on Instagram and online at My Photo Story. Before I start off, I definitely wanted to bring it back to the why the photo assignment. And it's very personal for me because the biggest why is for me as a photographer, having started as more of a commercial photographer. It was something I did on the side. It's something I enjoyed, but it wasn't until I started to experiment in the studio with different assignments and projects that I really started to make sense for me in an art context. Now, I became a fine art photographer because I started to experiment with photography, not only breaking the rules, but using my limited resources to make creative work and create my own visual style, my own voice. And I think that's extremely important for photographers out there that might have already found their style, but that for people that want to develop that further. And for photographers out there that are still looking, searching for their style, I think assignments is really important, and just not just any assignments, but creative assignments that make you think a little bit differently, that push you to experiment. And the photo assignment is always open for you to break the rules and for you to get creative no matter where you are. Now we're in an era where we need to kind of stay at home. I know a lot has changed in the world, and so is photography. So the photo assignment is a way for you to stay creative at home as a photographer, and even beyond a photographer, for creatives in general. If you are interested about photography, this is the perfect chance for you to start experimenting. So without further ado, a good friend of mine, an amazing artist and photographer, I want to introduce Marc-Anthony. And Marc, tell us a little bit about yourself before we start this review.
Thank you, Giano. Thank you for having me on board as your first judge and guest speaker. It is something that I think will, develop, beautifully and become something a lot more, how can I say this, uh, helpful outside of just the usual likes on Instagram. I really believe in the development of other photographers outside of the norm of just taking a photograph just to post it online and then get a like. It just doesn't get you anywhere. The photo assignments is a great way to challenge people to step outside of the box and go do something, you know, that is not necessarily on your forte per se. I, as you have mentioned, I am a portrait photographer, but I didn't start as a portrait photographer. And just like you, I explored the commercial world. But lucky for me, I got into the commercial world after my creative development. So I had already established a style prior to going into business. And of course, I got out of it recently, but to cater to the subject matter of photo assignments, I used to partake in some competitions, and it literally bridged a little bit of the gap that was missing, because a lot of times you try to, when you try to create stuff, you only create what's in your head,
Yes.
versus when people put change the recipe a little bit, now you find the true challenge, and now you really feel uncomfortable, and then you have to get through that barrier and create things that are just not in your head. That even becomes either better, I guess, for lack of better words. So I'm happy that you put this together. I really am quite optimistic to see how this develops, being that this is the first edition. I think a few years, or should I say a few months from now, we will look back at this and be like, oh crap, remember when we started this, and it turns into something even better. Not just big and whatever, but more like better. It just develops people, because I think that's the next. Like my sensei used to say when I did martial arts, he said, you haven't reached true mastery if you cannot teach someone to get better than you, as you know, as you or better than you. So I think thanks to you, and thanks for this initiative, and I really applaud it.
No, thank you, my friend. We're super excited. If you guys haven't seen Anthony's work, please check it out. Amazing portrait photographer, amazing artist. And I couldn't think of anyone better to ask for this first assignment to help me judge and review the images than Marc-Anthony. Mark has a particular talent for articulating visual imagery, and especially when it comes to art and photography. And we always have a great chat when it comes to art. So I don't want to keep anyone else waiting. We have we have a lot of images to get to, a lot of great images, a lot of creativity. We've received submissions not only from photographers, from people that are in a totally other field, filmmakers, like from a lot of people in different markets. So it's very exciting. Let's start off.
Let's do it.
So the first image, let's get to it. So the first image is from Andy SFX, and her name is Andy Bahet. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So Mark, since you're a guest, please take this one away. What are your views on this image?
Well, for one, I like the electric vibe of the photograph. I'm very attracted to 16th century artwork, and they were very big on window lighting and the Rembrandt shadow and stuff like that. I can see remnants of that here. I definitely appreciate the separation from the backdrop being blue and a little bit of black going into it. It's very mysterious. It's not too techno. In fact, it does remind me of a good movie. I keep forgetting the name, but it'll probably come to me like in the middle of this. I do like the expression in that one eye. I do like the makeup. I feel like there's a little cultural background to this. It's definitely energized, but there's a presence. I like the black silhouette. It's very sharp. I appreciate that separation from the blue. It's very, very. I'm pretty sure it probably was like simply executed, but usually simplicity is the key to greatness. So that was very well done.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree. I play in my own photography. I play a lot with simplicity, and I'm sure simple is not an easy place to get to. So
yeah, you knew it. This reminds me of Blade Runner.
Yes, you're definitely right. Blade Runner 1, right?
Yes, the very first one. And I'm a 90s baby, so Blade Runner. Well, 80s really.
Yeah, I'm kind of borderline. I'm 89 as well. But yeah, I totally agree that it has this futuristic, utopian society kind of look. The movie I think about, Mark, is actually The Matrix. And I'm thinking of Trinity here.
The hair.
Definitely the hair, the simplicity. She has kind of the features of Trinity as the actress as well too. But I really like the play on lighting. We received a lot of submissions with blue and red lighting, and just when I was starting off too, I played a lot with that combination. There's something about blue and red lighting that definitely complements each other in a contrasting way. And she definitely nailed the contrast. I love the shadowing. I love the fact that she's playing with her silhouette here. If you look on the right side, I hope you can see my mouse, but if you look on the right side of the image, from your point of view, you see the little blue highlights that kind of guides you up towards her eye. The first thing, I think the messaging she's trying to relay, that the focus point is definitely her eye. You can see like the two spots of the red and blue light in her eye as well. I love the makeup as well. I believe she is a special effects makeup artist, if I'm not mistaken. So she definitely nailed the, I'm not sure if she was going for the Trinity futuristic look, but that's definitely what it communicates to us. Coming back to your comment about the Rembrandt lighting, she definitely nailed that as well too. Very minimalistic, like just a hint of that little triangle on her cheek. And yeah, the last thing I would say is the makeup is also has that Cleopatra kind of vibe, Egyptian vibe going on, what you mentioned.
I'll go as far as saying that she's probably Middle Eastern too. That last thing is almost Lebanese.
Yeah, it sounds definitely sounds Middle Eastern, Lebanese maybe, or Jewish.
But I didn't really on this one. But yeah, the energy is more so what attracted me to this image. Whether she did have the makeup or not, it's sort of emergence into the light that kind of made it for me. Because it could be like in a dark alley, somebody comes out.
Yes.
Outward. I appreciated that. Normally, all of my images are rather confrontational. They usually look dead into the camera. And I tend to kind of not like people not looking into the camera, but this one was executed very well. I'm okay with it. You know, it's not Instagram-ish, like, oh, look, somebody saw me and they just happened to take my photo while I was looking away at this pizza. No, like, this one does not have that sort of energy. I think she had a very good track attached to this song too, which was kind of very electric.
Yes. Yeah, should we talk about the music, like just some little highlights of the music?
Briefly, if you want to.
The song, so did the song fit or no?
You know, I think it's kind of hard to say if it fits or not, because music means so much different. Like, there's so much a difference in translation of emotional connection to a song from person to person. Yeah. Like a song may mean something to her, and it may not mean the same to me, simply because I'm from a different cultural background.
Yeah.
I don't know if it matches per se, although that was just like a good track.
Yeah, the song's called "The Knife" by Heartbeats. So if you guys want to listen to the song,
actually, you know what? You're right. I did like that song. It was very 80. It was very. I got a sense of rebellion from that, and it was cool. And I got a little bit of the feisty. You know, like there was a mix of that, but definitely got the 80s. I think that was one of the tracks that I put a heart next to that I really liked.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely got Matrix vibes from the song, which you mentioned, futuristic. I think the song definitely fit. And before we go on to the next one, I agree with what you said about kind of the background. A little detail I like as well too. So I like how on the right side, from the viewer's perspective, you have like that garage feeling. You know, that I think that adds to the whole futuristic kind of urban vibe as well too. Okay, so for the next one, this gentleman's name is Sebastian Martinez. Mark, take it away.
I get, you know, it's funny that I was watching a scary movie last night, but from this one, I get disturbance. I get a little bit of separation of personality, or a little bit of, like disturbance, like psychedelic disturbance.
Okay.
The frames that he's wearing are not necessarily working for me per se. or
What do you mean with the frames? His glasses?
the frame that he's wearing. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not sure why. I wish, although we always aim to remove the glare in the,
Uh-huh.
I almost wish that the glare was even more prominent here, which would create a nice, reverb of like the light that was where it was facing. Outside of that, I'm not sure if this was intentionally processed that way or photographed that way. I wish I knew what the
I
process
can
was.
actually give you a little background. So with his submission, he mentioned that he is not particularly a photographer, so he made do with what he had in his home.
Mhm.
He post processing, he did not use. So this is as the image was taken. So it's not been photoshopped. I believe he used a glass bottle to get to that effect.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more background on
That's probably where I get the dissociation. I think that's a very cool effect
yeah.
of two sides of you seeing the same thing but having different opinions. That's kind of like what I got from that. That's the dissociation of personality. I do wish the entire screen was blue and then he had that separation instead of the black bleeding into it. But I think it makes it more acceptable that the black did bleed into the shadows that led into the blue, led into the formation of his face. So that I think I can live with that.
Okay. Um, so yeah, like I think this is a pretty contemporary image. Just because I really appreciate the fact that that he kind of adapted and used what he had to not edit and post, but to actually get the image as is. What I get from this image is that it is constantly making me work, Mark. Like I want to see his face, but I can't. Like my eyes are constantly um, you know being put in this loop, and he brings me on a journey with the image, with the distortion that affects my eyes, and there's something interesting in that. The fact that about the black on the left side of the screen, I kind of like it because it's kind of a progression from darkness to like in today's society, especially right now, a lot of change is happening, and it kind of looks like a evolution of some sorts, a transformation. I think that's the message he was really trying to relay. So
Yep.
I like the progression from darkness to blue, and then again, kind of being reborn with that distortion going on. So
All
that's
right.
what I got from this image.
And it definitely caters to the subject matter or of the challenge. It was to kind of break the rules and not shoot with
Yes.
conventional lighting. So in that sense, it did accomplish that. It looks like a one light setup, and you used the shadow to create some directionality. And the fact that his face is separating create that sort of skip movement through time. It has this sort of directionality on screen from left to right that is like speed, but speed that has been frozen. So
Yeah.
that much has been accomplished. This much.
Agreed. What did you think about the music, Mark? You remember the song? The song was called, let me tell you right now,
Track.
Mirror by the Weekend. I already love the Weekend. Like it definitely has that Weekend darkness to it.
Uh, yeah. It just for lack of better words, it just felt mainstream to me. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like it's not like the first when we got introduced to the weekend and his sort of like mental space and where he brings you on journeys in his songs. Um, but in terms of like just the title alone, kind of made sense because if you look at this, it definitely looked like a mirror. And like you remember like the Bruce Lee movie when he was in that room with all the mirrors and he was seeing like multiple Bruce Lees. That's kind of like what I got from that. Trust me, I'm gonna drop a lot of movie references. By the
Oh
way, guys.
no, please do, bro. People need movies right now, man.
So
People need
I definitely got like the mirror part of that. So
it.
the song itself, well, I don't know. It's maybe it's not my cup of tea per se. It's just mainstream. It's not the the first weekend I got introduced to, because the first one was like on repeat, like the first weekend album.
Yeah.
You want this kind of like, okay, we know what you're about. We're gonna do some dark stuff, like, you know what I mean? So it was
Okay.
no surprise. There you go.
Okay. I definitely feeling wise of just the song, it worked for me. Just the mood. I felt the mood in the image. This gentleman's name is Adobo Studios. I believe he is an artist. So what do you think, Mark?
This one is kind of the style that I was referring to earlier, like the confrontational, sort of, not in the negative sense of like confrontation, like butting heads, but more so like making a statement of your presence. So a lot of time when people are being photographed these days, especially when people are doing this whole, I'm sorry to say that, I'm not bashing Instagram, I promise, but this Instagram thing of just modeling and acting like no one's there,
Mm-hmm.
I like the subject making a connection with the viewer,
Mm,
and I can have whatever translation I want or whatever story he's trying to tell.
yeah.
You can actually see the intensity in his face. The fact that, of course, he cocked his head to the side can be translated more like into like, so what, what's up, or playful. It really depends, because if you think of dogs, when dogs get weirded out, they kind of do that.
Yeah.
But if you were to look at him and you were to compare him to like Breaking Bad, that's him being like, yo, what's up? Like, so
Mm,
what, you know?
yeah.
Uh, I
Walter White.
green and the red actually, as opposed to the red and the blue, surprisingly.
Mm,
Um, although I feel like the light placement may have played, I'm sure it was intentional,
mm,
but I'm not sure if he wanted to do split halves or if he wanted to do a red rim light and a green main light. So
yeah.
that's kind of like the only difference. If it was a red rim light, then it would have been much more interesting,
Mm,
because the green cast that I see has this sort of neon glow to it, and the red would have like kept that in check like nicely. But I do like his candid confrontational sort of, because I can't tell how he's feeling, except that, I'm here, I'm looking at you, what's up? So I like that.
yeah. No, I appreciate the confrontation as well too, looking straight into the camera. It really depends on the image. If sometimes it's better if the person's looking straight at the camera, or away, or at another object, or closed eyes. But definitely what I got from the gaze, is that uh, that he is, it feels like he's just about to tell you something and you don't know what that something is. It doesn't particularly bring you on a journey, but it's more of an anticipation of an action that has not yet happened yet. So that's what I appreciate about the image. You were right about the red lighting. It can go either way, but I like the fact that the red lighting is kind of creeping in. It's kind of slowly absorbing him. That's really what I like about the red lighting and the effect
Like,
right now. It's
careful, like
kind
grabbing
of
him.
creeping in there.
For sure.
Song wise, I think the song worked. The song gave me the, kind of British punk feeling.
What's the name of the track on this? I don't think I
The,
actually saw this one.
the track was Stone Roses, Fool's Gold. So this one,
Mario, Jelic.
Mario, yes, Mario Yel,
I
Yel
think it's Jelic. I might be wrong, but I think it's the KIC is pronounced cheek.
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 So pronounce it?
Jelic.
Jilichi. Okay.
I
Mario, let us
might
know
be wrong.
if.
Mario, please let us know if I chopped up the name. But if I did get it right, thank you. Now, this portrait absolutely works for me.
Okay.
Um, and I'll tell you why. It does remind me a little bit of the Richard Avedon. It reminds me of a lot of the masters that I looked up to a lot in terms of portraiture.
Okay.
Because it's not using too much information to tell you what's happening in the image. The vast black that's engulfing the image, and the enough traits of the character that are emerging says enough. Like you can see the age of his hands through the knuckles and the phalanges. You can see it in his frown. You can see it in the haircut, and you can see the intensity in his gaze. And like I said, I'm not sure if this was intentionally done, where the wrist, like the wrist looks like it's been cut off, probably in post processing, because normally with light fall out like this, you would see the wrist kind of disappear in the dark.
Yeah,
Kind of like you see the cheek do the same thing, or does the same thing.
I
I
agree. It might be
like, yeah.
it might be post, but you know, I mean, that works for me as well. It works.
I like this as both, factual and abstract, because you can imagine this on a vast black print and he's dead in the center. From afar, you probably could not make out this is a man doing that if you were
Yeah,
to, not look at it at a first glance. And then you get close to it, you get to see all those details of the frown, the eyebrows, the eyes. There's such an intensity of darkness in here, and the whole shush in the dark definitely adds to the image. It's very mysterious.
yeah.
It definitely makes you ask questions.
Okay. Um,
Like,
like you, Mark, I appreciate this image a lot. What you mentioned, it could definitely fall in the realm of abstract, kind of contemporary. Um, the image, feeling wise, it's definitely evoking kind of a jazzy feeling. And I believe, the song he submitted was kind of it had a jazz mood to it. So I'm definitely getting that. I love the haircut as well too. Overall, like at first glance, the image is definitely giving me the thinker. The thinker statue. It's definitely at first glance giving me those vibes. But um, as you delve deeper into it, you need to explore the image to kind of understand it. It brings you on a journey, and later on, you realize that he's shushing you, and it's and not a shush where in a negative context,
not
but
a shut up thing, but more
yeah,
like enjoy the silence.
a more of a cautious,
Yeah.
if that's the right pronunciation.
Mm.
But it's more of a cautious shush, silencing, like, hey, like, keep it down, otherwise you're gonna get in trouble. So more of a cautious warning.
Not sure if I get a warning out of this one. More so, I more so get like an invitation into his space. Maybe slightly with the warning undertone, but more so. You ever heard the term, a saying? I'm paraphrasing that said that sometimes the silence is just as enjoyable as a melody, because silence
Oh yeah,
itself.
silence is music for sure.
Silence, exactly. So I feel like in this one, there's this light of because darkness absorbs lights. So of course, imagine darkness and silence usually kind of walk hand in hand at times, right? So this sort of invitation into this world of silence, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting an invitation, but with more of before you come in, that's kind of like what I'm getting. But maybe that's what you meant by the cautious.
So
But
with the
the frown definitely makes you feel like, hey, you
keep it
know.
down, man. No, but what I meant with the caution is it's more of a protective, cautious shush. Trying to protect the ones
Yeah, I like.
he is shushing. And taking it into more of a context of right now. Like right now, I don't want to get I don't want to get in trouble here or talk about something that is controversial, but um, we can talk a lot about democracy nowadays, and how our voice is being affected, the voice of the public. um, you know and I see the relationship. I'm not sure if that was his intention, but thinking deeper about it, the caution might be speaking towards that. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I mean, I'm a graphic designer and I do a lot of ads, right?
Hmm.
This can be used for a lot of propaganda on so many different levels.
Oh
It,
yeah.
it could be an anti-drug, it could be anti-political, it could be with great typography.
Oh yeah.
It could be a great, like, that's how good this image is.
Yeah.
It has so many translations that especially with time now. I mean, even if you put it back in the JFK time, it still would have some sort of relevance if it was a political sort of output. But
Yeah.
very good image, very good Mario. We like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally agree. Also, a last thing before we move on, Mark, I think that's important to address is composition here. Now, like since this is very minimalistic, composition is very important, and the fact that he kind of put it center top, to me is very interesting. He didn't have to do that. Like me, what I would have done, for instance, is put it dead center or maybe off a little bit to the left. But I like the composition a lot. It's very interesting. It's kind of giving me like the Superman pose vibe since it's at an angle shot from below. What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts on composition.
Convention would have you put it off center a little bit because anything that's closer to the corners,
Mm-hmm.
like it's more interesting because it draws interest because it forces you not to look straight in and it forces your eye to move to the edge.
Yeah.
I do think since you did recommend to break the rules, I think this is where this fits. I'm not opposed to this at all. In fact, I think as I'm looking at it on my screen, it does look like a very good screensaver because it's
Oh
actually
yeah.
not as centered as you think when you're only looking at the highlights. If you were to look at the entire person, then probably would be centered. But the way he's laid out, actually partially off center, a little bit higher in the quadrant, which works beautifully. It gives you that sort of nice triangle, look up to him sort of perspective that I find rather enjoyable, especially after breaking the rules of thirds.
Yeah. No, I definitely broke the rules. I enjoy it. Last thing that I need to mention, haircut wise, I love kind of the half moon going on at the top, as well as the Rembrandt, a little bit Rembrandt lighting on the cheek. And I
Oh, yeah,
think that
that was
I think the decision to make it black and white was perfect.
Yep.
It's one of our first submissions. This gentleman's name is
Allah Nehru.
Tala Tala Neru. This sounds Middle Eastern as well.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Then again, let's even stop doing that so that they won't be like, you guys are like doing microaggression and like, being racist right now. We don't want the internet to be attacking us as well. You know what? Somebody's gonna get offended anyways. Fuck
We
it.
love the whole world, man. We love the whole world.
So this one definitely has Richard Avedon written all over it. Even some of his peers. I see a little bit of Henri Cartier-Bresson in this as well. The backdrop being so wrinkled, the person I'm sitting there, and that disturbance on the face, that definitely got me. So I would be very interested to find out how this was achieved. This looked like it was a long exposure and a lot of motion, probably.
Mm-hmm.
The head was moving, but then again, I'm looking at the top of the head, so it doesn't really give much. It's too much of a highlight magic PG on the front. Nevertheless, I find it interesting because a lot of times when people think of portraits, you think of defining features of the face. You got to recognize someone. I like the fact that you don't recognize him, and it forces you to just like ask questions like, "What's going on here? Who's this guy?" And then if you happen to know him, you see the tattoo on his chest. Now you're looking for markers to be like, damn, who is this guy? Do I know someone with this tattoo? Where is he sitting? What's going on here? This again speaks a lot to me of mental health. I'm not saying that he's in that state, but it has this sense. I think a lot of people can confirm, or should I say not confirm, but like connect with that part of the image, the energy of just lost and noise in your head and sometimes not recognizing who you are because environments can change the same thing, somebody from one person to the other. because sides of you exist, except that some situations have to bring them out, right?
Yeah.
Very well captured. Love the light that is a 45-degree side and down. Usually that's kind of like how I shoot. I love this image a lot. I mean, I could dissect it as much as I want. And also, if I may say,
Of course.
we live in a time where it's all about sharpness. Sharpness this, sharpness that, pixel peeping this. I love the fact that nothing in this is sharp. Like nothing. Like the shoulders blur, face blur, yet you can still make out this is a man sitting on a chair in front of a. You can. There's enough information for you to translate, right?
Yeah.
So that disproves this constant chase for sharpness. Not saying sharpness is bad, but releasing yourself from having to constantly be like, oh no, it's not sharp enough. You can get outside of that and still come out with something dynamic and full of energy.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. You know, like the whole, you know, like an image is not defined by its sharpness or, you know, by technical factors that need to be done in, you know, and it's not every fine art image or image in the context of art, or fine art image, you know, it's not advertising. It doesn't need to be sharp. And even when it comes to advertising, you know, an image does not need to be sharp. Not because an image sharp means it's a good image. And I totally agree with that. I like what I really like about this image is that it has movement and it has still at the same time. I like that play on contrast. I like the fact that the background, kind of the you know, like it has a lot of a character to it. You know, the background, but not so much that it requires too much attention. The lines from the fabric in the background as well kind of guide you to the center. Everything guides you to the center, from, you know, going up to his arms to his neck up. Everything is pushing you to kind of look towards the center, where you kind of see chaos. And I think that relates to you know, especially the historical times we're living in. You know, maybe not particularly chaos, but, you know, I mean,
sort of disturbance.
If you watch the news, if you watch too much news, I mean, you know, you'll go crazy. You know, so in a way, it is chaotic right now. Another thing I like about it, this image really reminds me of kind of an album cover, you know, like a contemporary artist album cover, which is definitely positive for me. You know, I'm not saying it in a negative context, but it's definitely giving me musical vibes, which I appreciate. Let me see if I have anything else.
What was the song that he actually had with this? I think it was a rap song, right? Like a slow vibe.
Oh, the song was perfect with this one. It was hip hop, kind of hip hop.
Is it Stress So Deep?
Urban flow. Sorry?
What was the name of the
song? The song was Stress So Deep.
I remember that. Yeah, for some reason I got a sense of loneliness. I also got the sense of like lone rider and hardcore, mysterious. I got that sort of vibe, you know, from him. Like I'm not gonna say bad boy, but more so like he's okay with, the person who's okay with being alone, because, you know, nowadays people try to get validation and shackle up from as much as they can, but there's a sense of learn how to be alone and enjoy your own presence. I got that from that soundtrack, and definitely matched that.
Yeah, definitely contemporary hip hop vibes for sure. The song, he nailed it with the song. For
sure.
So yeah, let's go to the next one. This one, Sarita Castaneda.
I know Sarita. Sarita is
Didn't she recently interview you, Mark?
I did. She's a very interesting photographer. In fact, I think we were talking about
before we start, Mark, definitely check out Sarita's Talk the Shot. If you're a photographer, if you want to hear from other photographers, other photographer's story. Definitely check out Talk the Shot. It's hosted by Sarita, and she's amazing. Check her out.
Yeah, for sure. Um, for one, and I don't want to be like I'm biased. I'm a big fan of like hair, not long hair, short hair. Like I just like the texture that hair can have. Like I feel like hair is such an extension of personality
Oh, for sure, dude.
that it just has its own life, especially when it's in its natural state and then can still have this sort of life, right? I
Yeah.
like the the hair match so much the flow of the mirror, the frame of the mirror.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the fact that it's just this sort of wild, long curve, right? I
Yeah.
got a little bit of, I'm getting a little bit of Eve from this.
Oh, I didn't think of
What I
that.
would have done personally, I would have probably cropped the hand off and cropped it even at that light. That light would completely disappear, and I
Okay,
would
so
just
the light
focus
at
on,
the top, right?
yes, not both representations of the light, outside of the frame and inside of the mirror frame. I would have cut all that out and just focus on the hair drawing it in. However, if you, since I am a big follower of Henri Cartier-Bresson, who always looks at images with a mathematical eye, there's a nice triangle. Like, say, I would have probably gone as far as maybe less, but there's a nice triangle that her arm forms that forces you to have this sort of golden ratio get into her eye. Because if you start with her eye and you try to do the golden ratio out, you can see that her arm fits that ratio properly. So that's probably the only reason why, if the light wasn't there, I would have totally kept it like that. That's the beautiful image. I like the sort of invasive sort of perspective. Like it's kind of a bit of boyish voyeurism. Like you stepped into her space and then she caught you. See what
Mm,
I'm saying? Like she was in her space, she was doing her thing,
does.
and then she catches you. I like the fact that her eyes make contact directly with the viewer. And I like the hair and the mirror frame. That to me would be perfect.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think this is a great image as well too. Definitely interesting composition. The first thing you said, Mark, fully agree. That's the first vibe I get. So definitely the color of the hair, the mirror, it's giving me this brown vibe, like caramel brown. You know, the whole image. I'm not sure if she did anything post, but definitely the image has a brown vibe to it, and both her skin tone, her hair, and the frame of the mirror definitely work together, color wise. I kind of like the crop. It's very contemporary crop, contemporary composition. You might be right with the light at the top, but you know it's you're seeing kind of um, for me, it's nice that you see the light or part of the light at the top, and then you see the other part of it in the mirror. Same with her hair, the same with her arms. You know that works for me. That contrast between kind of seeing the other side of it definitely works for me. The image as a whole is definitely giving me female vibes. You know, an everyday woman getting ready, no makeup, you know, this is how I am. And I think that's what you meant with the Eve vibes. Um, Let me see, what else did I have? You know, I like the composition, you know, and
Yeah,
in
the
terms
golden
of,
ratio factor here is so strong.
sorry, yeah, she has very nice brown kind of, yeah, like brown hair with like kind of gold.
Even if this image was black and white, it would still be striking. In fact, I'm willing to bet it probably looks better black and white. I'm willing to bet that, but that's just me probably.
Okay, it might work black and white, but I definitely like the brown as well. In terms of the song, she selected Willow Smith, Female Energy. I tried to find the first song. It was pretty hard to find, but because you have Willow Smith, Female Energy Part 2 as well.
Yeah.
I had heard I didn't hear the song before, but uh, I think there's definitely a connection because the song gives me female, feminine, very feminine power vibes, which the image does as well.
You can get that just from the hair in the space, in the
Yeah,
mirror in the corner. Yes, to me, that's almost like the viewer is almost literally violating her space,
yeah,
but her gaze is basically telling you she's defending that space.
yeah,
That's kind of like what I got out of that. But it's not like it's not aggressive. It's not super confrontational, but it's definitely making a statement.
yeah,
Like boundaries. There you go.
yeah,
Like boundaries don't have to be harsh and like no, stop now, and then
yeah.
kaboosh, you know?
It's
But
a
I
soft,
think the softness of this,
yeah.
the hair definitely does that. The curvature of the mirror gives that softness,
Mhm.
and it looks like she might not be wearing a top as well. So
Mhm.
that itself
That's
is like
definitely the E vibes.
yes,
The
definitely.
hair falling over, and I'm just now realizing it. You see the shell at the bottom, like in the center of her chest. Um, that is for sure female because that's giving me kind of what's it called? The Venus.
Yeah, yeah.
What's that famous painting called with the girl on the shell with the hair?
I think that's the painting of Venus coming ashore, like Birth of Venus.
The Birth of Venus. There you go. This is definitely, I'm not sure if the mirror, the frame, the frame of the shell, the
We
shell.
don't know if it was intentional, but hey.
I'm not sure if it was intentional, but it's definitely now for sure Birth of Venus vibes for sure. And
It
the
is
frame guides you to the shell as well.
for shizzle.
Tuto is a Miami-based artist, and this is a submission. What do you think, Mark?
Well, I'm gonna be like frank, but not like harsh.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we can actually just get that, and
Mm-hmm.
that might be my point of view, and people don't have to agree.
Mm-hmm.
I got a sense of selfie in this one, not a self-portrait, and people want to argue with
What
me
was
that
that? What was that? Can you say it again?
I get a sense of selfie, but not self-portrait.
Mm. Yeah.
Now, like I said, selfies, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Now that I have that point of view and I'm open to people disagreeing with me,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that, if not the only thing that I like in this image, is almost the condescending sort of suffering gaze. You don't see his eyes, you don't see his eyes per se, but it has this sort of looking down
Mm-hmm.
on the viewer, kind of like tired in this city.
Mm-hmm.
Because Miami can get you tired.
Yo, for sure, man.
If you see the bullshit in Miami, I get that from him. I get like the tiredness. I like the fact that his shirt is so like ragged. I like the sweat on his forehead, and you can definitely get a sense of Miami and especially South Miami. The satellite dish,
Yeah.
the vibrant color on the wall, and then
The
the
palm tree.
tall building behind you.
Yeah, the palm tree.
So that's like super Miami.
Yeah.
If it is a selfie, then this is a well executed selfie. If it is a self portrait, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the shadows casting on the right part of his face, creating almost like that sort of Bane mask.
Yes. I was
Look like
going to mention that as
angry,
well.
like he's tired of Miami. That's really what I got out of this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired of this
I'm
shit.
tired of this shit. I'm
Yeah,
tired of this shit.
that's what I got out of this.
Yeah. Okay. No, I definitely agree on the Miami part. I dissected the image, like I went in deep. For sure, the background is giving you a lot. It's giving you suburban Miami. It's giving you skyline Miami. It's giving you bright blue sky and definitely the palm tree. Two palm trees actually top it off. The shirt. You see some paint on his shirt, meaning he's an artist. I think this is uh, like a this is me unapologetic self portrait. I think it's raw, unapologetic, proud, in your face, portrait of himself. I think the shadow, I'm not sure if he meant the shadow, but the shadows and the light definitely form kind of that a mask like a that hero mask vibe.
Yeah,
Um,
and then his eyes are like covered as well. So you
yeah,
definitely have like the Bane, or I don't know if you like Spawn from Marvel. I think it's Marvel. I think it's Marvel Spawn or DC Comics. I don't remember, but you definitely get like the Spawn like
yeah, nah, yeah,
eyes.
Spawn. Now I know who you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
I definitely get that sort of anger,
I
tiredness.
mean, even Spider-Man too, man. Right?
Yep, definitely
The
some Spider-Man in there.
the Spider-Man with the black suit.
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it
Okay.
may not have been intentional, but he achieved something. Maybe he didn't even think so. So
This is Ayana, the model. Great model. I shot with her before. Um, Very strong features, but I'll let you take it away, Mark.
well, for one, I like the fact that it's not straight. It's from a perspective, and a lot of times perspectives are interesting simply because there's a sense of space, there's a sense of movement.
Yeah.
Space is not basic, so it forces you to pay attention. I do like the gradation of green, yellow, and red. You can either see that as gay pride, or you can see that as Jamaican, or African, or you can kind of get those colors from,
For sure, positivity. Like fun, openness, like
nice
similar
aura
colors.
above it. Yes, for sure. Um, Other than that, not sure how I feel about the portrait overall.
Mhm.
Now that you told me that she's a model, I do appreciate the fact that she does not come off as a model in this.
Mhm.
Because models are always trying to be
Yeah,
models because that's their thing.
agreed.
I like the fact that she does not strike me as a model here because I didn't get model vibe at all.
Yeah, but look, at the same time, models are not photographers per se. So, she did go, at least went into that undiscarded territory of taking the image herself. You know what I mean?
Also, she took that photo herself? Wait,
Yeah,
she self
right.
portrait.
Like
Yeah.
everyone that submitted, I would think, at least played a big part in taking the image. I would hope.
Hopefully I don't know if that was a rule of the competition, but I do like there's a bit of serenity in this, but there's also a bit of a uncertainty. Especially, I noticed that you were referring a lot to our current times. A lot of people right now are probably looking out the door and be like, they do not know what the future looks like.
Yeah,
And the fact that it's so washed out white outside, there's no definition.
yeah,
That's what that means to me right now. It means you're looking into uncertainty right now, and you cannot define anything.
yeah.
That much I got out of that image.
Okay. Um, yeah, for me, at first glance, I love the color combination from whites to browns to purple. The pillar behind her is what looks like purple. To the colorful rainbow, which symbolizes, definitely pride, definitely openness, enjoyment. Those are the things that those colors symbolize to me. And the fact that it's kind of on her mind, kind of at the top on her head, there's definitely a story behind that. Definitely a hidden message, I would say. The things that strike me the most are the eyes. And the eyes, because just the lines of the pillar, then you get her shoulders up, her chest, everything is kind of guiding you to those eyes. And that expression, looking outside, I see longing, I see optimism, I see deep thought. That's what that expression is giving me. I also like the fact that on her chest, the features on her chest is kind of forming a cross. And then the center of her chest is kind of lighter than the rest of her body. And, there's something special in that as well, too. But overall, this is definitely thinking about the outside world, and I can sense a little bit of longing as well.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with the work. the Cubism, uh,
Cubism, yeah, of course, of course.
but specifically at the time of Picasso.
Yeah, yeah, no, trust me.
This, you see that background that's behind her,
The
the black line and the broken
on the right side of
the right side of the image, yes,
yeah,
over right by her ear. That
yeah,
reminds me so much of Picasso's work. The broken sort of, using cubism to just like lay flat assets. It doesn't define what they are, it only leaves you to interpretation.
yeah.
And now that I'm looking at this image from an abstractive perspective,
Mm.
even those lines of the curtains from light purple to dark purple, and then that texture, that's
Oh
pure.
my God! Wait, so the purple is a curtain? I
That's
thought it was like a pillar, dude.
no, that might be a curtain to me, man. Or then again, if it's not, then this is
No, but
accomplishing.
you might be right too. You know,
That's
it's
see now. If this is the case, that it's causing us to not even understand what it's defining, then
yeah,
this is the job it's supposed to do.
yeah,
It's making you ask questions. It's making you make your own deductions.
yeah.
It's I'm now finding this image developing right in front of me after seeing it so many times, and I didn't make much of it until now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, it could be in the realm of contemporary, and abstract, like before you mentioned it, I didn't even notice the right side. What looks like a door. I don't know what the rest is.
Exactly.
Maybe a mushroom, like that little thing there.
You have no
Uh,
idea, man.
but
You don't know.
definitely interesting image. I think it's definitely telling a story, and it's definitely, she's definitely captured a thought, I
For
would
sure.
say.
All right.
The song that Ayana submitted, and I just want to give the viewers the opportunity to listen to the songs as well too, because when I was listening and watching the images, it's just you can feel it sometimes, and I think that's very interesting, and it's something that I think especially photographers need to study. But the song Ayana
What's the name
submitted
of the
was
song?
"Friends
It's
Are
not,
Friends and Foes." And the
uh,
song is called "Friends Are Foe."
okay.
This is by Sadiq Juman. Um,
Yeah, I got. See
so
that
what do you
again.
get from this?
I'm getting the mysterious. Uh, I'm getting pain from this. There's the sweat.
Yeah,
There's the intense light. There's the intense gaze. I'm getting a lot of the old African movies of the kids being tortured or something like that. But from this, I'm getting defense. I'm getting tired. I'm getting power. I'm getting the emergence from darkness. Again, very beautiful play on light. Uh, I like the fact that it's actually centered from both sides.
hmm
I'm not sure what else to make of this image per se, except that this, I don't know yet. I
yeah.
don't know yet.
Uh, so what I think, it's a very unapologetic gaze, into whoever is watching it. What I really appreciate, I'm not sure if it's sweat or water, maybe it was hot, but I definitely appreciate the sweat or the water spatter, and they use this in filmmaking a lot. If there's a background, if it's somewhere on the street, they always spray water on the ground because that makes the scene a lot more interesting if it has little reflections and little, like, little shimmers, little glimmers. um, and they use that in movie making a lot. So I'm not sure if this person is a filmmaker, but that definitely adds to it. It would have been too plain if that wasn't there. I love how both sides of the face are lit up. I like the fact that this person kept the lights. The lights are very distorted. I believe he used
Yeah, you can't make out anything. I feel like they were wrapped in some sort of
yeah, they
material.
were definitely wrapped with like a paper or something to give that color, which is pretty innovative. I've done that as well too. But I love the fact that it's distorted, that he captured that distortion It definitely works, and that he kept it in frame. This could have been easily removed post edit, and I like the fact that he kept it. Um, the part of the image itself that I really appreciate is, let me see if I can zoom here. Are you zooming? Yeah. Uh, if you zoom, it gets a lot more interesting. And we should zoom in more.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I
for sure.
like this area. I like above the nose, the shadow, and then the shadow above the nose and the shadow above the lips. There's
I was,
something very interesting about that that's kind of getting into my style. The eyes are very interesting too, kind of going upwards on the sides. And I'm not sure if you can see what I mean with the.
well, you know how you have it zoomed in now. Now
Mhm.
it becomes a lot more interesting because
Yeah,
the way I see it now, I like this X that's going on the screen. You can clearly see the light separation now, and
yeah,
then the eyes have this sort of alien-esque sort of
yes,
quality to them.
yeah,
There's definitely some sort of deformity here that is probably not intentional, but it's probably like a visual like illusion
yeah,
of a human morphing into something else or something else morphing into a human. So
yeah.
I like that, and I like the grunge texture from the wetness to like the texture of the skin. It's very unsettling,
Yeah,
and it's a very unsettling quality to the image.
yeah. And it's very equally balanced. Like the split of the colors happens exactly in the center of the face. Another thing I want to highlight before we move on is the hair. This could be easily removed post
Yeah,
edit, and it has the same effect as the sweat or the water on the face. I like it. It makes it interesting. It gives it character, and it opens up imagination, which I appreciate.
for sure.
Uh,
And what
Going
was
back to the song submitted was Alan Walker, "Faded,"
nice.
and the music was it was a little bit too soft for my liking.
No, I mean
A more intense image.
judging by the name, that also kind of goes against such an image that is so, intense.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. It's
Maybe
more intense.
maybe that's what they wanted to convey, that deep inside of them they want peace, but
Yeah.
on the outside what you see is the result of my environment, or I don't know, because a lot of times people don't really show what's inside because what's outside usually is very prominent.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, just like the usual plague of pretty girls in resting bitch face in Miami. They
Yeah.
always look unapproachable, but deep down inside they are soft like marshmallow.
Yeah.
I
I,
break that wall, man. Like,
no, I definitely agree. I think people that put up unapproachable exterior, once you get to know them, they tend to be very loving. And then you have the inverse, people that might have a very open exterior, or sometimes very closed off. When it comes to emotional, emotions. So I definitely agree on that front. People definitely project sometimes the inverse of inside.
all right.
Next one. This is by Yanet
Yeah.
Valdez.
Um, this has a very modern Instagram feel to it, if I may say that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it almost feel like I've seen this before. Then again, what have we not in terms of photography? Um, I again, I think I'm not sure when we became so attracted to blue lights and neon lights. I don't know when that
Yeah,
back
definitely
up,
the colored
but it seems
lights.
to be seems to be the thing. Um, I personally would have cropped the legs and only show the hands coming out of that corner, but that's me personally.
Okay.
Um, because I feel like, because I'm blocking it right now, I would have probably cropped not too much, but just enough. I'm not sure what I'm getting from this image yet, but I
Mm.
do get I do get a little bit of deity. Uh, I don't know. I'm not finding the words to express it yet, but the color of that purple off that blue, absolutely
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. The interesting thing with Janet's submission, which she also mentioned, is that if you guys look in the background, you see that like horizon. You know, I love how people are innovating at their homes. She is not. I'm not sure if she's a photographer, but for lighting, the lighting in the background, the horizon, she used toilet paper and I believe like one light to even it out. So she used toilet paper to even out the light, which I need to commend that. You know, I mean, I think creativity exists uh, in limitations when you have limited resources. That's when you know when raw creativity really emerges. And you know, she definitely took an approach that it works for the lighting in the back. Overall, what I get from the image is definitely space vibes. You know, she kind of, I'm, I'm pretty sure that's bed sheets in the background. You know, it looks like the surface of a planet or a moon. Then you have the horizon coming up. Um,
Oh, you know what?
you get it?
How about you're saying this? You know what I'm getting out of this?
Mhm.
You are asleep and you get into this dreamlike state, and then she's like, but the start of the dream is the same scene of where you fell asleep in that dream. Then you go to bed and you get out of your body, you
Yeah,
start, and then you getting out. That's what it looks like. You got out of bed and then you reach out to your window to grab the moon, right?
yeah,
If you guys ever did that, I slept on the roof of my home back in Haiti before. And I used to always do this with my hand and put the put the moon like inside of a clasp. So I'm getting that from that now. It's just a dreamlike state
yeah.
of like reaching for the moon. Okay, now I'm getting that sort of Peter Pan ish
Yeah. And the
dreamlike state.
blue lights definitely help, you know, that thought or that mood. You know, then again on the wall behind her, you have like, not sure what that is, but I think what's the Saturn? You know, Saturn has those rocks orbiting around.
Oh, ring of Saturn, yeah. So I mean, I'm getting also from like the robe, the fact that their hair is kind of like not dry.
Can be.
This seems like the personal space of someone that just got out of the shower, you
Yeah,
know, went to bed, and then
yeah,
they went into this sort of dream, right? And
yeah,
and that's what I'm getting out of that. I'm getting the robe. I'm getting the fact that you can clearly tell that this is more of a very intimate sort of setting.
yeah.
There's a small hint of sensuality to it, from
Mm,
the wet hair to the rope that's almost falling, like almost like showing her chest, and you
yeah,
can see it that down there, like above her legs. I kind of get it. I
yeah,
kind of get a little bit of the dream, like reach for the moon sort of thing.
yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
I would,
Definitely the nighttime vibe. I do get the nighttime vibe. It's you know the blue definitely helps
what was
with
the theme
that.
for this one?
I like the you know the fact that you kind of see the triangle on her chest going up to her head. You know, and the color of the robes. You know, it's not too distracting. Kind of gives you a nice contrast with the skin. And I think the moon was done post. Pretty sure it was done post. You know, that definitely adds to it, you know.
What is the track that she had for this? I think I wrote it.
Oh, the track was
Natural Mystic.
Like You. No, not Like You, Mad Fine.
Oh, okay.
And this
You know,
the song, I didn't feel the song and the visuals. I
you know
didn't
what?
feel it. It wasn't.
Exactly. I was gonna say that. I got a little bit of like defensive from the song. Like if
Yeah,
we didn't
yeah,
analyze this before, I got a little bit of like the closed off, defensive. I smoke on my own, kind of like I'm lost, but I'm like angry at the world. I
yeah.
haven't figured it out yet. That's
It
kind of
wasn't
like what I got from that.
as as the image. The next one, oh, take it away, man.
Ooh. All right. I don't know if you remember Boomerang with Eddie Murphy.
Boomerang.
Yes.
Yo,
I'm
Eddie
getting
Murphy is a long time ago, man. I got it.
yo. This is straight up 90. Like this is 90s. Like spread.
The glasses for sure are 90s. For sure, the
Dog,
glasses.
I'm getting. You see how soft the the texture is? It's a very like dreamy, soft sort
No,
of.
I love the color, but go ahead.
Yeah. The pearls, the gloves,
Yeah,
and in the red. Normally, you never would see pearls in a red setting because pearls tend to be more of
black,
majestic,
white. Yeah,
black, white. I like the pearls. I like the. It's almost like a rebel who's rich and does not conform to society. That's kind of like what I got from. But I like the glasses. Very 90s. Very. I literally get boomerang out of this. Like if I could find one of my
check the
magazines, I would
music.
show
I'm
you
gonna
the
check that movie. It's a movie, right? Boomerang.
with Eddie Murphy. Yes. If you watch Boomerang, you probably will see this image. I like
Okay.
the old Janet Jackson backup dancer kind of thing.
Yeah.
I like the rap. I really love the red. And I know you've done a lot of good work with red in the
Mhm.
past, but I like how there's different tonalities of the red in this, and you
Yeah.
can pick him out. It doesn't just like blend.
Yeah.
Absolutely dig this.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely digging this image as well too. At first glance,
Hey,
at first glance, like definitely the eyes, and the reason why why my eyes fall on her eyes is because of you see that V, the two fingers form that V shape, and I love the fact how it's getting darker and darker at the bottom. And just now I'm seeing also she's holding like a Sony like headphone maybe. I see
yeah,
SON, which or no,
well,
what it is, it's a camera and it's a
yeah,
self
it is
picture. There you go.
so I'm definitely getting 1990s Vogue on this.
Yeah,
You definitely gotta like do reference like once you see Boomerang, you probably text me back and be like, "Yo, that's definitely Boomerang."
yeah. So
Nice job, dude. Nice job.
so
I'm like in love with this.
yeah, so I like how the darkness, the gloves, how that kind of guides you upwards, but it's not too distracting. The white pearls give me like a modern girl with a pearl earring vibes to it. Very modern, like girl with the pearl earring. Um, I love the glasses. The glasses definitely tell me 90s vibes. Um, the red turban gives me like a modern day royalty, what you said in the beginning of kind of very wealthy, but it gives me royalty vibes, especially the red too. The colors that you used, just the colors in the image is kind of red with a little bit of yellow. They work very well.
Very well. The
Um,
yellow on her face definitely highlights.
Yeah, no, very well executed. The glasses tell me very like chic, like the chic style.
This also reminds me of something that Annie Leibovitz would shoot. That's
Yeah.
very much her style. Annie Leibovitz in the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
that's very much her style. And I'm what I'm getting in terms of energy is it's this in Hollywood, when people become successful, whatever, you enter this new class, right?
Yeah,
And everybody kind of behaves the same, very snooty and very, oh, do you know Judge and John? Da, 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 da.
yeah.
I like this looks like the rebel against that class. I can still hang with the big boys without having to be one of the big boys, right? This
You
is
know,
very
you know what it is? It's the Rihanna vibes, Rihanna type
yeah,
royalty, right?
yeah. There you go. I got the money. I got like just like
Yeah,
you, but I'm a queen
the
of my own
cool,
castle. Definitely got I got the cool like the glasses. Definitely do it. I mean, this is a good image, man. This is a very good image.
Yeah,
And of
no,
course,
likewise.
red. Come on, red is like
Red and black, a little white, definitely works. The fact that her mouth is open as well,
matching the pearlies, the pearly
yeah,
one.
like she's just about to say something or that she just said something. like "Let's Hang Out" or something, and
I don't
it's
actually
very
ask.
unapologetic look.
Yeah, that's definitely unapologetic for sure.
Yeah. So music, I think the music was spot on. The music was Yo Gotti, Pose, featuring Megan T. Stallion and Lil Uzi Vert. Um, the song was spot on. The song was the image for me.
Yeah, I mean, it connects with the now. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I got something else in mind for this, but definitely nicely done.
Okay, so the next one, we got a red one as well, red and yellow too. Um,
I feel like I've seen this before.
this
And
is Juan Medina.
Senor Medina. I feel like I've seen this before. I feel like a lot of artists have had covers. Oscar G had covers like that before. So many artists had covers like that before. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that it's not interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It was just executed well. I like the split of that red filter and then
Yeah.
the highlight on that eye. Like I get it, but I've seen this before.
Yeah. The for me, what strikes me is the softness of it, the softness, but then you have the grain at the same time, which definitely gives it some texture, but definitely soft. Um, Very strong, jawline features with the shadow on it is perfect. Again, with the red lighting, like it's like this is definitely frontal lighting, like
Yeah,
extreme,
like
like a
spotlight.
little bit overexposed frontal lighting.
Yeah.
With the I like the shadow in the back as well too. It's almost an extension of his head, almost. The lighting was perfect too. It's evenly the composition wise, it's evenly exposed. Kind of see that halo around his head. I think um, he composition wise, this could be an ad. He left the space above his head is great room for maybe a logo, a Ray-Ban logo, or for copy points. But definitely more of an advertising vibe to it.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see that. I
the
mean, yeah, I've seen it before, but
the
it's just another version. Like it's well executed, but
yeah, the facial features kind of tell me like he was just looking at the viewer, and he's just looking away, kind of that I don't care feeling.
I mean, I get like the more like self confidence, almost borderline cocky out of
Yeah,
this, which is fine if that's how people feel. But like I've seen this before, and I keep forgetting the name of the person who shot something like this specifically.
yeah,
Adam Levine, I think, did something like that.
yeah.
Or
It's definitely album cover vibes too. Definitely
yeah,
artist,
definitely album cover.
musician. Uh,
If
you
he's an
know,
artist, if he's a musician, he definitely accomplished that.
yeah. And music wise, this is Juan, right?
Yeah, Senor Medina.
Uh, Music wise, let me just say the song. Nothing into something. That's the song, and yeah, the song worked. That's by Drake. So very cocky, cool
There
vibes.
you go.
That
There you go.
that's perfect for Drake.
Yeah, that's perfect for that.
Yeah. One is
Yeah.
Mia Mikati.
Mira Mikati.
Yes.
I love this image. I remember that was part of your first submissions.
Yes, it was.
Um, I have I kind of figured out how this was executed, but as a result, I like this idea of the split and then the person looking through the split. I like the light. I like the color,
Yeah.
the expression, and for me, I'm big on eyes. So if you look at a lot of my photographs, the eyes to me have always been what I'm chasing because the stories that eyes tell are super deep.
Yeah.
And I like the eyes in this one. I like sensuality in this one.
Yeah.
Because the hair is kind of like wet, curly. You can definitely tell like she's not wearing anything, and it's falling on like on her shoulder. And
Yeah.
then there's a sense of intimacy here that it's like innocent, partially. It's inviting. It's kind of frail. It's
Yeah.
kind of also hiding a little bit of strength, but you'd have to get past that barrier to see the rest, right? But it's definitely not confrontational, but it's definitely sensual. It's definitely midnight vibes. Um, and the split prevents you from seeing too much. It kind of makes you kind of want to look to the side as you're looking at the image, but it's a flat image. But it the eyes are well placed in that split because
Yeah.
the eyes definitely speak. I absolutely like this image.
Yeah, no, agreed. I like it as well too. I love that she created chaos in between the viewer and herself. So she put,
Mm-hmm.
the lights, especially, that's in between whoever's watching the image and her. And you can relate that to right now. I mean, there's chaos in between all of us. I mean, we're doing Zoom because it's crazy out there. So another thing what I like about the eyes is the reflection of the lights in her eyes. You can definitely see that, almost like a signature with a hand, a fast signature.
Mm.
You can see the same energy in her eyes.
I think that's what
Uh,
this sign is.
Sorry?
I think that's what this sign is. I think it's an acrylic sign that she held light up like this with LEDs going through it.
Yeah.
But I don't get chaos out of that light. You know what I get? I get that sort of female inner energy. You ever seen these images going around on the internet? It's probably gonna sound like super sexual. I'm not trying to sexualize it. Where like the inside of the woman looks like magic and like the universe and stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
and the light just like whoosh, escaped out of her, you
Yeah.
know, thing. um, but what I'm getting out of this, the light represents a little bit of her energy. I don't see it as chaos. I see it
Yeah.
more as like a burst of energy, like a ting ting, and a
Hmm.
preview. That's what I'm getting out of this. More energy than chaos.
Okay. No, I definitely see a little bit like because like if take away the lights, you would get like she looks calm, like but then in between, for me it's a little bit chaos in between, like compared to her features behind that.
Mhm.
I think the crop works for me too, the composition. She didn't have to crop her, the top of her head. I think the crop works. It's very personal, right height for the eyes, like literally face to face. Um, Let me see. Yeah, chaos in between us. And for the music she selected a very classical song, The Lark Ascending. It's
I
all
love,
instrumental song, very classical,
I
very calm to
love
listen to.
that song.
Sorry?
You, I love that song.
Yeah, very
I,
calming,
I
definitely
think it's
meditation.
I think that song is very transporting. It's
Hmm.
timeless,
Yeah.
definitely emotional. It's emotive or emotive.
Hmm.
It's soothing, but it also gives you a sense of being misunderstood. Uh,
Mm,
Maybe that's just me, but that's kind of like what and maybe that's just my translation of most classical music, anyways.
yeah.
Always a sense of like you don't understand me because there's so much depth and so much layers to making an orchestra sort of like music with so much textures and layers, right?
Yeah.
But I definitely like the calm that came with because that image with that song
Mhm.
definitely matched. Although the neon is making it modern, but the soundtrack was very good choice.
Yeah. Like I actually I think it could have been a better song, but that's again like our differences in how we see it. Like because I'm thinking chaos with the lights, with the
Yeah.
neon. So the song was for me a little bit too peaceful. I wanted to, I listened to the entire song and I was waiting on that, that
The
chaos.
surge. Dum, 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 dum.
Yeah. Exactly, like the drums, you know,
This is
that
Phil Collins,
Beethoven.
man.
Dun, 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 dun. All right, this is a very good image as well. Ooh,
This,
you go first.
this, I get, I definitely get a sense of like you can't get between these two, right? Like it's like if you get into their world, you trying to like you're gonna fall into some traps. Only these know how to fight, how to go around the house in the dark and not hit their knees on the sharp objects. So, I definitely get a sense of partnership in this one. I get a sense of trust,
Yeah.
even in the dark spaces. You know how some friendships are tested by situations. And
Yeah.
like
Yes.
Batman said, like, or Bane, when Bane said, oh, you fight in the darkness, I was raised by it, right? So if you're looking at this, there's a sense
Character.
of like they're owning the darkness. And I like the fact that both of their eyes are lit the exact same way, although they're in different levels,
Yeah.
right? Their eyes are literally capped the exact same way, yet they're in different heights. So that's perfect. Even if their chests we're not showing was just the heads,
Yeah.
that reminds me of that Tupac. What was the album cover when you had like all of them on the album? It was Death Row.
Mm.
You remember that album
I'm
cover?
a Big. I'm a Big fan, bro. So.
Oh no, we're not gonna start this here. So, but I like the use of light or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Very cool. Um, it's definitely a storytelling. His eyes are dark like a vampire, dude. Like seriously, like there's so much delectable darkness in this that I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love
Yeah, no, I think it's superb. It's creative. It's pushing you to use imagination with the darkness, which I love. Um,
it. Really love the
there's
darkness.
there's definitely a relationship going on. The fact that you see more of the male figure than the female also senses, and that the male is closer to the light, which translates into maybe outside. It's also more of a protective stance, like he's in between the outside and her, kind of taking on, that protective, um, that he's protecting her basically. um, I did not notice up until now that they're holding hands.
Yeah,
Did you see that?
yeah.
I
You
didn't
gotta go
like
like down there
just
to see
not seeing
that.
that.
And
Um,
that's what I got. I before I even got all these details, I got
like,
the sense of partnership there.
oh no, I got partnership without seeing the hands, but like I'm just discovering, like it's really true that sometimes you need to look at something multiple times, especially in the context of art, to see more and more and more, and to go further along in the story of that work. And there's also a small light at the bottom. Maybe they're both holding something. I think this is very powerful. It's two people I know personally, so I can relate to it even more. But
I like that.
definitely,
I
uh,
like
definitely the male figure is taking a protective pose and stance, with him, being more into the forefront. I love the fact that they got the lighting perfect, man. I mean, that
that.
this might
You got it
look like
perfect.
minimal lighting, but I mean, it's like paint spatter almost, and it's at the perfect places, just enough, to kind of lay out an outline. um, what else did
What
I?
was the song? Was it Holy War?
The song so gets even better, Mark. They are two musicians. They both make music together, and they submitted their own song. The song is called "Stress So Deep," and the group name is 2DWN. Yeah, so the song is "Stress So Deep," and you guys should definitely check them out. It's by 2DWN, and the names are Jordi and Mateo. Beautiful music. Um, but yeah, like very powerful image. And Mark, if you also see on the shadows, it's almost like it's bars, like a prison bar. Not your conventional prison bars that are going down, but these are more sideways,
Yeah, this
more like lines, but very
horizontal.
powerful image. Let me see if I had some more notes in regards to this one. Um, uh,
I definitely get the Bonnie and Clyde, me and
yeah,
the world vibe.
definitely Bonnie and Clyde. And the fact that like their skin colors kind of it gives off a specific color, in the light. I like the all dark with those skin tones, those nude skin tones.
Almost matching the
You know,
wall.
the color is perfect as well for me. So this one is by Ives Goodchuck. Um, in Dutch, it's Hoedschalk. Um, but what do you think, Mark?
Um, I'm getting the Tyrese. I'm getting the Tyrese vibe from this. Getting at the hey ladies,
Yeah,
what's popping. He definitely has the eyes are connecting. The smile is definitely kind of subdued. I wish we would see more of the smile, just a little bit, not too much.
yeah,
The lighting is definitely interesting because it's creating this pattern on the wall,
yeah,
adding on top of the other pattern because you can definitely see where the highlight is blown on the left. There's no pattern, and then
yeah,
you can see building the pattern on the right side. Um, I'm not sure if the color was intentional, but I definitely get like this sort of cream tone, maybe
yeah.
ish. But yeah, I get like model, male model, Jodeci.
You
Vibe.
love that. You love that.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, like I'm getting very relaxed vibes. He definitely that smile is definitely up to something. But talking about the color, the lighting, I like the fact that you can't see everything. Just the bare, like, because you don't you see the bare minimum, but you still get the feeling. I think it's perfect. He's
Yeah.
showing the bare minimum of what we're supposed to get from this. I like the composition as well too. I like the fact that he's more towards the light, and it's kind of like getting darker, and then you can see the texture on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Coming back to the music, I think he had Natural Mystic. Bob Marley works perfectly. He's
Yep.
now having a good
Yep.
time, chilling, vibing. That's definitely what this picture, relates.
Like the guy chilling in the back of the club and this is playing and you just walk up to him.
Yeah, but also, the guy on the corner, hanging out with his buddies, having a beer, these are like Sunday good, good time vibes, chill.
Yeah.
Let me see if I had anything else. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Now that.
Take
What
it,
was the song behind this?
take it away.
What's the song she dropped with this? What was the song?
Oh, this one. Oh yeah, this image was submitted by Alejandra Padin Elvira. I really hope I pronounced the name.
Parin, Elvira. Parin.
Elvira. And the song she submitted was SWUM, I, Idealism, Forever in My Mind.
I have to listen to that. But
It's Forever in My Mind, SWUM, and Idealism.
as I'm concerned, I love this image
Okay.
for the abstract that's in it, for the simplicity behind it, but
Mhm.
also the complexity of. It's almost like she's wearing like when you go to these horse races, you got these ladies in the.
Yeah, in England, in the UK, this is a
Even
whole
even
fashion
right here,
statement
like
for
even in
Sunday for
when they
horse
play
racing.
polo, like the Sunday sun.
Polo,
Yeah.
hats.
I'm definitely getting the Sunday hats from this, but
Hmm.
I'm getting also a Japanese samurai sword tip So there's this sort of sharpness to that. I don't know how this was executed. This definitely looks like reflection on a lens, or it was just light, a play of light that was. I don't know how she executed it. I'm not gonna dissect it, but I like the fact that it's right above her eye, and it gives you that sense of like it's cutting the darkness from the top, and then the light starts from the bottom. And I love how it's overlaid over it, and it's creating that sort of like very sharp. I keep thinking of a samurai sword slashing through air, sort of. That's what it would look like if you could see the slash of a samurai sword through air, right?
It's good because, you know, like you'll never see a samurai sword because it's usually so fast. Remember those hentai movies where you basically see like the Zoro super fast and then the melon just falls into a like 100
perfectly cut halves.
yeah, so you know you'll never see it, you know.
No, I appreciate this image. I think the light fallout in the back, that's beautiful. I like that the light is not necessarily centered above, but more so a little bit on the side, because you can definitely tell that by the highlight on the shoulder versus the other one.
Yeah,
You can barely make out her face, but you can still see some remnants of her lips and her nose.
mm-hmm.
And then when you get to the eyes, where most of the time you would want to gaze, you get that light that just cuts right. It's a beautiful piece.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it a lot as well. You know, like looking at it now again, I realized that only one eye is visible, which is interesting to me. The eyes I didn't really, they didn't stand out to me as much. And now, you know, I'm discovering that, you know, one eye is looking right at you and the other eye a little bit, but it's mostly one eye. Very minimalistic, very clean. Definitely a contemporary piece. You know, it's giving me future vibes, minimalistic vibes. You know, and the minimalism relates to kind of like that Asian, you know, Japanese futuristic style feeling. Um, you know, the white light at the top too can also symbolize a halo. You know, a halo, or you know, I agree with the hat as well. But you know, my first thought was a halo, kind of around the head. You know, I like the skin tones too. I like the coolness of the entire image. Something that speaks to me as well too is the background, like kind of the horizon. Like the half moon, like the lighting slowly fading into darkness, I think is very even and very well executed. Um, the black hair falling behind her and not in front of her is a great move. You know, I wouldn't like it as much if the hair was fell in front of her. I like that she put it, you know, that she put it towards the back. Um, yeah, cool tones. I think this is definitely contemporary and makes you work um, as well.
It's mysterious.
Yeah,
It
definitely
definitely.
mysterious.
I can imagine this in like in a hallway of a bachelor pad being like the
Oh yeah,
that gazes at you like
big, big. It needs to be a
very big print,
perfect
very,
size.
very large print.
Yeah,
That's a very good photograph, and it caters a lot to the goals that you wanted them to achieve by breaking the conventions and playing with light, and
yeah,
that does that perfectly.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. Totally agree. In terms of the song, I think the song that she submitted, which was, let's say it one more time, SWUM Idealism, and the song's called Forever in My Mind. Uh, the song was very soft, like the image. It was very quiet, calm, like the image, and the words also worked well. So I would suggest listening to the music and watching this image as well. And I'm also gonna possibly throw up the images on our website as well. Puerto Rico. This is by
John Galt.
John Galt. Full
Um,
name.
this what I like about this.
Mm-hmm.
The composition matches where the flag is on his shirt. Everything is like left centric, right? But yet he's on the right side of the image. So the composition definitely works. A
Yeah.
big space on that end, and then now you look down like where is that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about the mask. The mask, I think, is a statement. I think it's probably because of our current time.
Yeah.
Statement. Um, but I enjoy mostly the flag looking like three fingers of blood, just like going down, and it ripples through the shirt. Lighting is definitely interesting, but the composition first is very. I really love the composition. Second, the flag on his shirt. I like the fact that it looks like three fingers just like bleeding down his shirt.
Yeah.
And if you were to look at this image in our current time and attach some sort of symbolism to it, you can definitely sense the pride. You can definitely sense the situational sort of, I'm in here, I'm in the situation and I'm fighting,
Yeah.
the intensity in his frown. And I'm sure it's because of the light that got his eyes squinting like this, but you can still sense some sort of stance,
Yeah.
presence, so although you don't see the rest of his face.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, the image definitely gives me like revolutionary vibes, for sure. I didn't think about the three stripes as blood, but I definitely see where it's coming from, and no, it's not the side of his heart. But I'm definitely getting the struggle. Like power to the people. Like fighting for the struggle against the struggle. Composition, I 100,000% agree with you. The composition is very interesting. I mean, the fact that he cut off his hands, that he's been put in a corner, works beautifully for me. Very contemporary, kind of like a contemporary portrait painterly almost. Um, Another thing that really interests me is the shadow that is falling from the mask, going over his neck, and then his shirt again. That's pretty interesting. I love the fact that his shirt, like I like the shadows in his shirt as well too. Definitely gives the shirt character. If it wasn't there, I might not have liked it as much, but I definitely like the shadows in the shirt. Overall, clean image, definitely, comes from a place of Puerto Rican pride, for sure.
That's what it is.
Oh yeah, and music-wise, I think it was a Bad Bunny song, if I'm not
Why
mistaken.
not? Why not?
Which is pretty appropriate.
Why not? Por la calle.
So this is a very hard song. It's uh, PFKNR, Bad Bunny, and Kendo Caponi. And the song is called YHLQMDLG. I mean, if you Google half of that, you'll probably find it. But yeah, that's the song, and the song for me was definitely island vibes, Puerto Rican vibes, and it worked. It worked well for me. So the next one is Cassandra Perez. It is interesting image.
Yeah, very striking facial uh, features like that. I always like when people play with the reflection of other objects.
Yes,
Mhm.
shadows.
Um, the the hair has like a nice sort of like movement to it. Although I wish the hand was not in the hair, that would have worked better for me.
Yeah.
I like the intensity in her eyes. It's very intentional, but not not troublesome.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I'm big on hair and eyes, as you saw in my previous photo critics. Um, this is definitely warm, and I definitely get a little bit of sass, a little bit of sexy, a little bit of sass, and not like the sexy kitten, but more like inner sexy, like energy sexy,
Okay.
like a
Well
deep
put.
culturally rooted sexy,
Yeah.
and a little bit of like the Salma Hayek confidence.
Hmm. Okay. Um, this is a very interesting image to me. A lot of discovery as I was dissecting it. But I mean, the shadows are exactly coming over her eyes and falling down like tears. The middle one is exactly almost in the center of her face, going over the lips. I'm not sure if this was intentional, but I mean, this image, selection wise, works for me. I mean, it's for her eyebrows and the center shadow kind of form a cross, kind of almost exactly in the center of her head. And in terms of the hand, I kind of like the hand. It's placed very soft on the side of her head. You only see two fingers. For me, it has a softness to it. I like the fact that the hair is kind of covering part of the face as well too. And the hair is showing me lots of movement. Coming back to the shadows, I like the fact that her head is sticking out a little bit over the bar rail, a little bit over the top, which I like. And the shadows symbolize for me, being inside, being cooped up inside, prison almost, like you can tell from the image that she is inside, locked up, looking outside. And the sun, I think she took this exactly at the peak of the golden hour. I can even tell by um, I'm pretty sure the sun was just about to go down, and it was that last strong ray in the center of her face, because you can see the intensity, like the hotness of the sun, kind of fading away if you look at her hands going out of frame. Um,
The
uh,
most terrible feature for me is
Sorry.
actually what I enjoy the most in the image is somehow her eyebrows. I feel like
Yeah,
they're
the eyebrows are yeah.
and they match like the strength of like the hard lines of
Yes, it's very
I don't
straight too.
yeah, I don't necessarily see like the shadows as like this sort of prison, whatever. More so, I see them as like scars, like the scars that you don't see on people, the scars that they wear from the experiences,
Mm,
and life scars, but
yeah,
you don't see it. That's what I see. I see you see this face, but you don't see everything else that's marked it or whatever. That's
yeah.
kind of like what I see in this. And then of course, the intensity in her face and her eyes and the softness, it's almost as if like I've survived a life that has led me to be who I am today. That's
Yeah,
kind of like what I'm getting, and she's owning it.
yeah.
And the amber color is more like the soft, caressing, soothing light of the day, because sunsets are very soothing and very romantic.
Mhm.
That's kind of like what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah, yeah. Very unapologetic look. Gaze. Very relaxed. Very calm features. Very calm expression. Um, I like her choice of shirt. How it's black. I think any other color would have definitely been would have been too distracting. And I like the areas that kind of split up. You have the big white space at the top. Then you have the shadows with which form kind of a texture behind her, and then you have the subject. I kind of like those three areas playing together with her at the center. Thinking abstract, like about those areas. Overall, great image. And the thing I like most is the reflection of the bars. I think that's exactly centered, which is which is very pleasing.
Mm.
Song wise, she picked Surf by Mac Miller. And I think, Mac Miller has a very, um, like laid back, super chill vibe music like that end of day music kind of. And I think that fits perfect with this image, being an end of day image too. The next one is Sandra. Um, Sandra. What do you think, Mark?
I like the patterns.
Mm-hmm.
I like the eyes, but I like specifically that one eye that's illuminated. Because if you're looking at the white, that kind of like curves and then ends up on her face. I like that part, and everything else to me just falls out because there's no details needed there. That
Yeah.
also looks like somebody that's very much in the cocoon in their personal space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't I can't make out too much what the sensation is from the expression, but I
Mm-hmm.
can definitely get. Of course, it looks chill. It looks
Looks like a hammer.
yeah. I'm not saying it looks welcoming, but it almost looks like it's stating that I'm relaxing. It's not necessarily I'm relaxing and come chill with me. It's more like yo, this is my vibe right now, and
Yeah.
that's what I got out of that. I like the hair looks like it's been put up real quickly. I like the texture that kind of like glazes over from side to side and curves back up, but specifically that highlight on that eyebrow and that eye,
Mm-hmm.
it's quite cool.
Yeah.
Obviously the mask, the mask kind of like dates it because we are now in the age of not I wouldn't say era, but maybe like
These are dark ages, man.
we definitely in the ages of masks. But then again, I lived in Asia, and I've seen people wear masks since
Yeah.
how long.
It is normal over
That's
there,
not
right?
new, but it's new here. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to place where she was at because if you put that artwork in Asia, oh, she looks like somebody in Asia, like who wears
Yeah.
masks anyways. I mean, when I was in the streets in China, people wore masks simply because the air was polluted. Period. But
Mm.
now, this has a more. This is my reality now. I'm
Yeah.
chilling. I'm vibing. I'm looking cute, but I still have to wear a mask.
It's a
That's my
fashion
reality.
statement now.
Yeah. It's like no, that's just a reality statement. Like it's part of your life now.
Yeah. Yeah, but the mask too, it's like it's not your typical, it definitely has it's
Oh, hers.
very
Oh,
interesting.
yeah.
But I for sure agree with you. The first thing that strikes me is definitely the light coming in and then resting on that eye on the left side. Like very nice eyebrows as well. The look she gives me is a little curious, both curious and a little bit inviting, just a little bit, but definitely a little bit of curiosity there. I
She looks
love
like
it.
a heartbreaker.
Sorry.
She looks like a heartbreaker. You know, like the girl, like all your homies tell you, don't talk to her, bro.
Yeah,
You
break
you
your heart.
you'll get what you want, but you'll be stuck and she'll ruin you. That's what I got out of that. It's like if you want to come, but it's at your own risk.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad, Sandra. I don't want to like look mad at me. My
Oh,
bad.
man, I'm sure she's a sweet girl. Um, but yeah, I like the texture overall. It looks like the sun is shining through what looks like a hammock. Like all those little dots. And if you see this picture from afar, it might even look abstract in a way as well too. Um, but yeah, definitely the light is what strikes me most. In terms of music, the music is "Mother May I Sleep with Danger" by Joy Crooks. Uh,
Mother, hey, I.
"Mother May I Sleep with Danger" by
Oh,
Joy
by Terry Crooks.
Crooks. Yeah, and for me, the music,
That's a dope track, actually. That's a dope track. For some reason, the Joy Crooks kind of looks like her.
yeah, but the music worked for me. It definitely worked with the hammock vibes and the female atmosphere. work for me. So this next one is Carissa Soto. And I believe Carissa submitted her own music. So Carissa's a musician, and she submitted her own music.
I'm getting a lot of defiance and intensity from this, but almost a little bit of like the natural like insecurity. I also get the the confrontational aspect, but that also comes maybe from like courage, because a lot of times people don't look at into the lens of a camera unless they feel confident that what they're projecting is exactly what you're gonna get. And I like the fact that she's projecting that. You can tell that that's intentional. You can tell that by even the relaxation of her lips, but that eye, even if it's not both eyes, that one eye gazing at you is definitely connecting. It's intentional, and I like the fact that it wasn't the entire face. It's kind of like in here, and it's trying to fit in a very tight space, and then hair covering nicely angular around the nose, around the lip, and then down. It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
But I do get some intensity from that. I get lots of energy.
Yeah.
Defense, but a lot of energy as well.
Yeah. I think it's very, it's definitely a bold image. I mean, a lot of people, they clean up blemishes, they smooth out the face, and this is unapologetically just her, and it's very admiring. It's very admirable that she took that direction, because it's real. At the end of the day, I mean, we're all human and we're all real.
And I mean, I don't want to be like hypocritical. I've done the whole skin retouching and stuff like that, because that was just like the world I was part of. And it's only one of my last clients who I sent her photographs, and she was like, no, put this back. And then for some reason that shattered all my illusions. Ever since, I've resisted changing how people look, because it's just like, you don't spend that much money on film and cameras to capture something that you're going to modify later. To me, that's not photography. So I definitely love the fact that, and that's probably where I'm getting that sort of confrontational energy from her, because she's probably fully aware of that. And she made the decision, is like, that's me. I do not abide by the standards of society. And that to me is courageous. And not a lot of people, and she should definitely be proud of that, because not a lot of people have the courage to do that, because society beats it into them.
Yeah, definitely. Society is it's hard on people.
Yeah, society. So I'm taking my part of that.
Yeah. And it affects us all, including myself as well too. But beyond the realness of the image, I really love the hair and how it complements her features. Like, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but how it cuts in to the eye socket.
That's exactly what I liked earlier. I like that he just like falls right.
Yes. The curvature of the hair is superb and works exactly with the features. You see her cheek again, and then it goes back out. And if you take a step back and you look at the image, those images where you don't know if it could either be somebody looking at you or somebody looking from the side.
Yes, definitely.
It kind of gives me those, like a half moon kind of. It gives me those vibes. The hair works. Even the hair on the left side, how it flows out of frame, but how it more flows to the left works. So it's the image is giving me a lot of movement. And something I like as well too, the curvature between the eyebrow, the nose, and it going back out. It does something as well, both on this side and this side. So overall, great image, very sharp image. The right things are in focus: the tip of the nose, the lip, and a little bit of the eye. So good image. This is an interesting one too. And the full screen, you can't see the borders, but before you watch it, it's a very tall image. Um, it's just you can't see the borders of the image.
No, but that actually works also when you go in full screen and it turns all
Oh yeah,
black.
no, it works.
Now it looks like he's standing into this dark space,
Yeah,
and
but I think there's also you know, there's definitely a story he's telling by the composition that he selected too.
I it's possible. Like a lot of times they're not intentional, and I try not to attach anything except for my own interpretation, so that the person can say yay or nay.
Yeah,
It is possible if he is a photographer and he understands composition, then definitely.
yeah,
Um, the I have a sense that I've seen this before as well, but I do like the green tint, and then everything else is dark. I like light fallout. You know, I like stuff like because I like light. I don't like everything to be all lit.
yeah,
I like things falling into the darkness and coming into the light. Um, Maybe if he didn't have a shirt, but he only had the glasses, that would have been more interesting to me because now I'll be wondering where the hell is this guy standing wearing glasses, but yet doesn't have a shirt on. You see
yeah,
what I'm saying? Then you start asking questions.
yeah,
But now this could be anywhere. This could be you walking down the alley and you look at a light and then click. You know,
yeah.
that's not a boring story. It's just a different story versus how much more interesting it could have been.
Yeah. No, I agree. Definitely. You know, it definitely depends on what you're wearing or what you're not wearing. I totally see how that can become a different story and take the viewer on a different journey. For me, just so you guys know, this is not a photographer but a filmmaker. And when he submitted, he told me that um, he didn't actually have a picture camera. He only had a film camera. So he actually took a video and then took the image from that footage. So I definitely commend him for definitely taking the extra step. And knowing now, Mark, that he's a filmmaker, I mean, I definitely get filmmaker vibes from this guy, from his hair
Yeah,
to the glasses, to even the freaking the shirt for sure. You know, definitely filmmaker shirt. Um, the lighting, you know, green lighting is very um, you know, very green lighting is very unique to especially filmmakers. You know, green lighting symbolizes gore, horror movies, but also you can relate it to green screen. You know, green is kind of I associate green with definitely with filmmakers, and you know, it's kind of telling me that he used that for that reason.
Okay.
I like the fact that the glasses are reflecting a darker hue of green over around his eyes. That is interesting to me. It definitely it definitely um, separates that area from the rest of his face. You know, his ears are pretty interesting to me. The ears are pretty sharp and in focus, and that's kind of telling me, you know, it's kind of opening up to, because he's in a dark room too. It looks like he's kind of, his composition goes all the way up. So he left a lot of empty space at the top, which to me puts me in a place of kind of a like at the bottom of a well or something, kind of looking up at the sky. So the ears in a dark area, you know, like whatever you hear becomes kind of you know, it becomes more important. If you, I'm not sure if you've ever been in a dark room listening to music. The music is going to be a lot deeper and it's going to affect you a lot more than if you were in a bright room. What else? Yeah, I like the composition as well too. It's kind of telling me a story of he's kind of looking up at a far away, you know, something that's far away where the light exists. Kind of again relating back to now.
True.
So yeah, that's the song that he picked was "The Axe" by Tom York. Um, and I think that that song fits with the emptiness he created, kind of that hallway horror
Yeah,
kind of vibe.
definitely had like some sort of dark ascension to it. I listened to that track, and the track had this sort of like momentum, and
Like
it
a
kept,
tunnel, right?
yeah, it had a nice dark momentum to it,
Yeah.
and I almost called it like a joyful disturbance,
Yeah.
but from the dark, very Stranger Things sort of vibe.
Yeah. I think the song definitely worked with this image.
With this image, definitely.
Gino Dara. What do
Uh,
you think?
like, see, and this one, he did what the other guy we were suggesting in one of the photos to start at the beginning,
Oh,
where he
the red light, right? The highlights.
as a rim light, and
Yeah.
then the front light as the key light. But I still like the fact that only one eye is getting light, and then the other one is completely subdued in shadows. Um, the hand coming in and up and doing this is kind of giving me some sort of werewolf vibe. Not sure why,
Mm,
but the leather, the jacket, the look, and the feral sort of eye socket, and the
yeah.
hand. There's a sort of, and even the eye. The eye doesn't even look like the eye looks inert, but there's so much intent coming out of it
Yeah.
that I'm getting Wolverine feral sort of man eater sort of vibe from this.
Yeah.
Red definitely puts it in scene. Like one of those movies where he walking down the street and there's this red light somehow, and the poor girl had made the wrong turn and she's about to get eaten up by this bad vampire. Like, so that happens to be you. So I get the werewolf of New York. That's what I'm getting from this.
Nice. Well put. Well put. Yeah, like the definitely the composition. I love the composition. The black jacket to me is more of a. I love how we're comparing it to movies because people get that. Movies are a specific type of world. So when you relate an image to a movie, it puts you in a specific world, which I like.
Mhm.
This is more of a Blade Runner kind of mood for me, especially with the black jacket. I love the looking at it abstract with different areas. The red to me, if you only look at the red and the form that red forms, that's very interesting. Like kind of a U shape, like a flipped over U shape. I like that form, kind of like that silhouette look with the jacket. Um, that Blade Runner look. I like the use of red, the contrast between red and black. And I kind of want him to remove his hand so I can see more of it. But that's where he makes me work. You got to work to get to know him, and I think having the hand there makes you long for something even more. He could have given it to us, just face, just jacket, but that would have, he wants us to get to know him first and to make the effort, and I think that's why the hands there, and I think it's a different approach. I appreciate that approach. Um, but yeah, that's
Curious what the song was for this.
the song was Childish Gambino, Redbone.
Ah, got it.
Yeah,
Okay, that's a little fun versus this one. But yeah, I get it.
but I'm a little half and half on the music though, because the visuals are more intense. Uh, Redbone is a little bit more relaxed. Maybe with blue lights, it would have fit more. But the red is just a little bit more intense for me than the song. This is by Claudia Valencia.
I, of course, am a big fan of Vincent Peters. This is Vincent Peters. Like you you have a lot of shapes here. The only light source is way back there, and it's washing into the room, and then it's forming these images, right? You can definitely tell that's a single seat couch over there. You can definitely make out the little dots on the ground. You can kind of make out it's a curtain, and then you have this light that has gone everywhere, and then like the falling on her shoulder, basically caressing into getting into like the various faces of her, right? You
Yeah,
know it's a woman. You know her hair is down.
yeah,
You know it's a shoulder. You know you know that's a woman.
yeah,
And I love I think it's Sade. I think that's how they say it, Sade.
yeah,
And that's what I'm getting. I'm getting the smooth operator sort of like vibe from that, right? I'm getting the
yeah,
light up some incense, walk around in the living room in your undies and just like fucking vibing in a hot summer sort of like um misty sort of weather atmosphere where your
yeah,
skin is like glossy from sweating, but you're
yeah,
not dripping. I'm getting a very deep, central, deeply internally connected vibe from this. Very intimate space. I like it. I think that's one of the images that is almost Alfred Hitchcock-ish,
mm,
almost, because it's using the reverse. Because normally you would shoot with the light behind you, but she's shooting with the light in front of us.
yeah,
Now we have to figure out everything else behind that, and you can see the gradation of lights leading up to the couch, and the only thing in focus is her, but you cannot see her, but everything else around her. You see what I'm saying? So like you can tell she's in her space, but you
yeah.
cannot make her out.
No,
That's
I 100% agree with you. I think it's a beautiful image. Um, you
you should,
know, like and the,
Claudia, if you're watching, print it. Print it. This is a good image.
okay, the um, what I like about this image is that it shows you the bare minimum, especially of her. You see, like it slowly shows more and more, but if you look at the side of her face, I mean, it's just giving you the bare minimum, but you just know what's going on. You know, that's the fact that I like about it. And, you know, like the average Joe might think this is a bad image, right? The average Joe, like, what is this? But it's very hard to take images like these. You know, it's extremely hard, you know, and I definitely commend that. This is definitely you know, like definitely my style, the style I appreciate.
Sure.
And what else? And it's giving me hotel room vibes. Like you mentioned, like more that Sade vibe. Like it's giving me more the hotel room. You know, like the couch right close to the bed. Those are the vibes it's giving me in that context. And it could almost be an abstract image if you look at it
Oh,
from
yes. Because
almost.
you can lose her.
Yeah, you can totally from a
You lose
distance. This looks like, you know, black and white, different paint spatters. Like it's a great image.
her. Very good image.
And the song that Claudia submitted was "The Weekend," "Deep into the Night."
Of
Uh,
course.
no, wait. The song was "You Move"
By who?
by Depeche Mode. Depeche Mode. So the song is called Depeche Mode, You Move. And it's definitely giving me the weekend vibes, hotel room vibes.
Oh, Depeche Mode.
Yeah,
Got it.
Depeche Mode, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely
It
the,
has like an undertone of like S&M to it.
yeah. So this image was submitted by Sarah.
Um, Again, this looks like a very safe image, although it is a great image, but it's since your challenge was to break the conventions of using light, I feel like this doesn't do that. I feel like this only uses light in a very like advantageous way. Like your face, whatever. If that were the only thing we were to look at, is it great lighting? Yeah, it's a great, interesting light. It's coming from another source. It's highlighting. It's doing the same thing that they did for a couple of pictures that we saw before. So
Yeah.
I don't see too much of a challenge in this one, as opposed to using the light in a different way, breaking the conventions of just using light. I think, is it a well executed photograph? Absolutely. But is it getting outside of that? Not so much for me.
Yeah.
It's a well executed image. The colors are interesting because the colors are shifting the colors of her eyes, for example. You can see the iris is not even, it didn't change colors. It looked like she's not even from Earth, you know?
Yeah.
You can definitely tell that there's some sort of like intensity because there's a slight frown. The hair is messy and diving into the darkness. But it's just another electric photograph.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I've seen so many of this before, and that maybe I'm kind of like being kind of jaded by all the other ones that we've already seen, and I don't want her to feel like she's not getting that same sort of unbiased view. But I'm
Yeah.
only reverting back to what the challenge was. The challenge was to use lighting in a way where it's unconventional. To me, this looks like theater light. So
Yeah. The I believe she's a filmmaker, so maybe that theater aspect, she tried to put that in there. Um, Overall, I like the composition of this. Like the fact that she is placed center, and the lights kind of, the darkness is kind of holding together the light of her outlines. Like if you look at the nose, very highlighted area. You
yeah,
know,
the rim light is great.
the rim light definitely works, and it's kind of pushing the darkness. It's in between the darkness, which I like. Um, what else? The outline is what sticks out to me the most. And there's a little bit of, I don't know what the thing is with the blue and red lights, but there's a little bit of red light. If you look on her cheek, I'm not sure if, yeah,
It
I'm
might
not
not,
100% sure if she used red light, but it looks like it.
yeah, it might not. It actually might not be red light. It might be chromatic aberration from the lens and her skin tone
Yeah,
during that red, which is quite lovely actually.
yeah,
But the fact that her eyes changed color to me was like amazing. So which means her eyes are not brown.
yeah. And like she could have. I like the fact that her top area, like there's no straps or something of clothing that you can see, and I like that fact because if there was a strap, or if she had stopped it at just her neck, it would have definitely cut off the flow. So composition wise, it just being very centered. I like the composition, and definitely the highlights as well too. If
It feels safe.
going back to a self-portrait, it definitely shows Sarah's characteristics, of her profile. Um, the song she picked was "Un Unfuck the World," Angel Olsen. Um,
Nice.
and that was like a dreaming. It's talking about like dreamy feelings. So I think that works. It's a very good one. Martin Castañeda.
Yeah, that definitely. In terms of lighting, again, this is just another sort of like spotlight, you know, but he went out of his way to not be traditional with the portraits where like his face is showing or like, eyes or whatever. He's
Yeah,
actually showing an emotion. To
yeah,
me, great portraiture, does that. It shows more than what you see as opposed to features. Because portraits, you can take the contemporary, well, not contemporary. The traditional portrait is somebody sitting, see their faces, and then click, and they all sit the exact same way. From the past, that's why you see all these generals and their wives. They all look the same. Their faces are so like stale. Well, good portraiture tells a story, and this one definitely makes you start asking questions. There's a little bit of pain in this. There's a little bit of concern. There's the grip of the hair, of the fingers like through the hair. You can definitely see the veins and the intensity of that. The lighting is lovely simply because it clashes on the hand and then breaks into a shadow on the other side. Yeah. Great tonality and a great separation from him in the background. So there's a nice sort of step to this. And I like the fact that I cannot see his face. I'm wondering what's happening. I sense the pain, or I sense the disturbance. I sense it. And then all I have to go by is a hand. So to me, that's a good portrait.
No, for me, likewise, definitely 100% agree with the emotion. Definitely the emotion I'm getting out of this is stress, especially nowadays. Like I'm not in the best position, but like I am pretty fortunate still, but I can just imagine people that are less fortunate than me, what they must be going through. It's we're talking about hundreds of thousands of maybe millions of people right now,
exactly like that,
in a very unfortunate position. It definitely relates to right now. It also, like, beyond stress, trying to figure shit out, is also what it relates to me. But then again, what is that something? That's the bigger question that you're asking. The fact that you don't see his face, but just a little bit, like I like the way behind his hand, the light is hitting his nose, and you can see a little bit of his his eyebrow. That even with like very little that he gives you, you can see emotion as well too. And taking a step back, looking at it compositionally, with just the head in the center with the arm, and then what looks like his two shoulders coming out from either side. This is abstract to me. This is, and again, if you look at only the gray area, the light gray area at the top, which kind of forms a U, it's perfectly balanced. I'm pretty sure he cropped it because it's a square. Amazing. Also giving me jazz vibes, like jazz album cover vibes as well. And I believe he picked the jazzy song. So the music worked perfect. This is Jose.
This got my attention because I thought at first it was a mistake, or something that you had uploaded or whatever. But then I was like, wait, no. I see three faces, but here's what I don't understand. Maybe I'm wrong because I've never been exposed to something like this before. But this is more of an art piece than it is an actual just portrait. So obviously some people would disagree with me. They'd be like, a portrait is not just like the image of someone in camera, because now you've introduced graphical elements to it. But then again, you could have done that on camera as well by putting some plastics and putting some artifacts in and captured that. But then again, you went the distance of like doing all of that art piece. So to me, this is more of an art piece. But I do see beyond the artifacts. I see the scream. I see like the intensity in the eyes that are not there. Kind of creepy, but kind of get it.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that piece yet. And this context, like I get it's a set of portraits. It's a portrait art piece. It's not a portrait photograph.
Yeah.
I find it very hard for me to kind of like critique it as
Yeah.
that. But as an art piece, it's definitely out there.
Yeah. So, I think it could be a portrait. I mean, there were no limits placed. But in the beginning, it did, I did try to understand it more, and it put me on this journey. And I do commend him, Jose, because nobody went this far.
Exactly.
He went to the extreme, and back, and just fully embraced it. He pushed it to the max, and nobody went this far, which I definitely commend him for. Um, so my eyes, he let my eyes wander and work a lot. So, little by little, you discover the face, then the mouth, then the screaming, and I believe there are three faces in there.
Mm-hmm.
But then I noticed the text. This is a play on text as well too. The first thing I saw is, hey, they say the war is over. Stand by for transmission. Then TV test signal. Then it brings me again by, it put me on a whole journey with my eyes. We are the insurgents. And then the last thing, what I read, if there's not more, there is a war going on for your mind. So definitely a lot of messaging. It gives me that. Um, what's this guy? What's this?
Yeah, this is very like Miami sort of artwork, very radical and very
Anonymous.
against.
It gives off an anonymous kind of warning. Like, it's definitely,
Yeah,
it made my eyes work. But it's definitely an art piece.
this is more of an
For
art piece than
literature.
a portrait.
It definitely has more in there than just the visuals, for sure.
Yeah, as a graphic designer, I can appreciate the effort that
Yeah.
way.
The song as well too, it definitely fits. It relates to a lot of the messaging within the image.
This is all right. Um, I hate that I can see his hands in the camera as a reflection of the glasses.
Yeah.
Um, but I like the idea because it looks like his beard grew and went all over.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the harsh light on the outside, the very sharp harsh light. Um, yeah, but that's about it though.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing I like about this image is the contrast a lot. You're right about the hands. I would rather have seen something else to take you deeper into the scene. But definitely the contrast between the skin tones and kind of the extreme winter jacket. And for some reason, the sunglasses make me think more of a Caribbean setting. Um, and it's funny that he's wearing like sunglasses you would think he would wear in on an island beach, but he's in extreme winter weather. So that was pretty put me on a little journey as well. Is this one by Yannick Belfort? So yeah, just go.
No, it's to me yet another. I don't know. It's I've seen this before. It kind of reminds me of the same one that we were talking about of the lady with the spotlight and the blue
Yeah,
light in the
yeah.
eyes. It's the same thing to me. To me, that does not go beyond like using like breaking the conventions or using the light. To
Mhm.
me, that's just another use of light and separating from the backdrop type of stuff. Like, is it well executed? Yes, but is it interesting? Not particularly.
Yeah. So this one for me, I try to really just focus on more of the aesthetics, like the kind of the triangle so every area that's lit of the skin is guiding you towards his face. which should be the main focus. The light kind of slowly fading down. I appreciate that as well too. Um, and where did he find a barber, man? I've been trying to find a barber everywhere.
Well, he got the connect, so hit him up.
No, but this is also a musician, Yannick, and he submitted his own music, which, of course, it fit with the visuals. It definitely fit as well.
Yeah, I mean that definitely has the musical sort of like intimate. There's a certain intimacy to this that I can kind of get, but I've seen this, so it's kind of like I wish you push yourself, you know.
Yeah. Is this one by MJE?
Yes. Now that's a story, and the fact that she's coming from the perspective, grabbing the fruit, grabbing the soda, opening the fridge, the mirror reflection, the intensity in her eyes, the light, and obviously you can tell this is not like artificial place like this. You can tell this is the light coming from the fridge, and you don't know what's going on back.
Hold up, is it the fridge?
That's a fridge to me, bro.
Get out of here! I did not think of that. I was trying to figure it out. Like
that's a fridge. If that's not a fridge, then she got us. And here's where I find this photograph to match the assignment. It's the fact that it's adventurous. It's a fact that it's in time. It's with the time. Nowadays, everybody has been saying, damn, what was the last thing I did 5 minutes ago? Eat. Like, you can tell, like, she's self-conscious about gorging yet again. The soda, the fruit, like, you're not hungry, you're bored. That's really what this is saying. And her hand in relation to the face, perfect perspective, perfect expression, perfect separation from the backdrop. Like, this image by far is the most photojournalistic image. And this is on par with Martin Parr's style. I don't know if you know Martin Parr, but Martin Parr is the one that shot the Afghan girl on the cover.
With the blue eyes?
I'm sorry?
With the blue eyes?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
That is very Time magazine cover. Yeah. This image is very striking, very photojournalistic, and very with the times. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. There was, I couldn't figure out why as much as you, but there was definitely something in this image that was definitely striking. It just works, aesthetically. Aesthetically, it works beautifully with the cutoff, where it's cut off from the reflection at the bottom to the focus on her face. I mean, it's a beautiful, it's the exact focus at the exact same time. And the fact that the apple that she's grabbing is, from the position it's taken from, it's so big, it's twice the size of her head. If you look at the image, I didn't realize till now that it was a fridge, but the journey it put me on was, relating to the world kind of, is that we're instead of going in the fridge and grabbing food, what you suggested, I was thinking more of kind of being afraid to touch food because it might be infected or somebody that's sick might have touched it. So I was more thinking on the caution side of things, grabbing something, for instance, in the supermarket with caution, with doubt.
Can I give you a perspective?
Yeah.
It's like the angel and a devil on your shoulders. Mm-hmm. One side is the devil, one side is the angel. Mm-hmm. You always have the person inside you that always tells you when you're about to make a bad decision. It's really up to you to listen to that voice or not, right? Yeah. You know for a fact that most girls can tell you that right now, that they are so mad that they're locked up in their house because all they do is eat. And they hate the fact that they cannot exercise it off, right? Because
Yeah.
they're so bored, they're so
Yeah,
stressed.
it's hard to exercise right now.
You know what she's doing right now? This is her subconscious. This is her subconscious, or her conscience, conscious? Yeah. Her internal little angel is talking to her, telling her, I cannot believe you're about to eat again. Like, that's literally, and that's her just being like, she just got caught. You see what I'm saying? And she's representing the reality of so many people right now. And I don't know if this image would work outside of 2020 with that same reference to our time. But if you were to remove it, it still would work. Because now you're wondering, damn, you're just grabbing an apple. Well, why are you dropping so much soda? Why you look so suspicious? Why is your face so... The intensity in her face is really representing her internal battle.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're about to eat again. Like, like this coronavirus got me stressed out. I'm about to eat again. I love this image, hands down.
Yeah, no, it aesthetics are beautiful. Let's look at the song. She's
black and white. Oh my god.
Oh, you know the song she submitted, right?
No.
It's the Mission Impossible theme song.
No. Nah, that's perfect.
It's perfect. It works.
That means she woke up in the middle of the night. She was not hungry. She was like jumping over the couch, passing her mom and passing and then because she's passing judgment basically. Yeah. Judgment is about if she gets caught, she's gonna get judged.
But it's also self-judgment too, like so.
That is the self-judgment.
I think the worst judgment is self-judgment. And, that's the context that you framed it.
If it's uncontrolled, it could be the worst. Yes. Yeah. Very good image.
Yes.
Good job, MJE.
I like it too. Sky Cruise. And this is the image Sky submitted.
Now, this one has a particular
softness to it.
Yeah, it has a texture to it that I like. Now, of course, I will always revert back to the goal of the challenge was to use lighting in a very interesting way. This one accomplishes it because I see 3 different lighting conditions. One is very harsh from the bottom. One is a very, not harsh, but very accentuated on the side. And then you have the soft from the front. I really enjoy the softness of the light in the front, especially with that streak of blonde hair. Mm-hmm. That kind of but if you're looking at her face, the light definitely caresses her forehead, down to the eye socket, down to the cheek, and then down to the jawline, and then disappears on the top or whatever she's wearing. But the light in the bottom, it might be more intense, but it's not harsh. It's very deep ocean sort of like creatures coming up. I love the expression of her hands. You'd be very surprised how much people transfer a lot of their stress through their hands. So when I photograph people, I often have to have them relax their hands a lot. But I love the girliness and the playfulness of the hands. She's not looking at at us, which is not confrontational. The red, I'm kind of surprised by it because it's only on her face. It's nowhere else. So this is a very interesting play.
You see a little bit of red on her shoulder on the right side.
Maybe it's because I don't see it. Oh, you know what? You might be right.
Just a hint.
Let me actually turn off my light a little bit. Let me try something. Okay, now I get it. Yeah, you see a hint. You see a hint of that. But I do like the fact that it's intense on her face, not as intense anywhere else. There's 3 sort of intensities here. I like the image. It's very soft. It's very ethereal. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It tells a very partially dark story, but you don't know how dark.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the outside of a heart, of a scary looking house, but you haven't gone inside yet.
Yeah, it might not be scary. It might be all full of IKEA furniture.
What I appreciate as well too is the red light, and especially her face, defines her features, which I appreciate a lot. Um, the Talking about the hand gestures, I also believe in the emotion of hands. I take a long time capturing the perfect hands because hands can say so much, and what her hands tell me is kind of caution, like, don't come towards me, like now, today we have like the what is it, 6 foot, you need to keep 6 feet from people, and this is kind of the caution, like that stay away, um, kind of caution, that she's kind of signaling to you, like, not verbally, but um, through her hands. She's also wearing something interesting. I mean, you really need to turn off the lights, to kind of see it more. But she's kind of wearing that, like that Handmaid's Tale kind of
Yes.
clothing, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm taking it too far,
No, 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 no. That I definitely get that.
right? And the
Old Danish sort of clothing.
Yeah.
You remember like the paintings based on a lot of Bible scenes from the 16th century. A
Hmm.
lot of times their hands, where when the Virgin Mary was praying, her hands often had that gesture. So there's a very angelic, Bible-esque
Yeah, like
quality to her hands.
definitely I get painting vibes from this, frescoes from the
Yes,
Renaissance.
yes,
uh,
absolutely.
Definitely that vibe in the hands. The um, I love her hair, man. I love that, like that blonde little lock of hair that falls behind her ear, goes down. I mean, it paints what I cannot see. It completes her, without seeing everything. That works perfectly, and that actually makes me focus more on. Let me zoom in. We haven't
I would
zoomed.
love to see this in high
We
def.
haven't zoomed in a lot, bro.
Ah.
Um,
But you see how soft it is? I really love the transition of light, man.
Man, like look at the hair where the red lighting is hitting. Just how look how it fades away into the darkness. I think that's great. Maybe having focus more on the face, but then again you lose the hands. I think overall it's a great image, very great texture. You know.
Now I have it open on my phone. Obviously, I can actually see it
Hmm.
now. I think this is a very good image, man.
Yeah, right. Very smooth, like, and very natural.
But her hands now, to me, look like they're closer to the camera than she is. So because
Yeah.
her hands now looking much bigger,
Mm,
and they look like they're just warm. She's warming her hands into this light that's coming up. I really love this. This looks very old comic book, um, fairy tale sort of cover.
yeah.
Like a fairy tale book, like a very hardcover book from the early 20s.
Yeah.
You would find like in Eastern Germany or something like that. Like I really like this.
Yeah.
It's very good. I like the feel, the mood of it. What music did she attach to this?
She selected a Lick by Body featuring Luna Aura.
Lick My Body?
It's Lick. The song's called Lick, and it's sung by Body featuring Luna Aura.
Oh man, I'm over here like, Lick My Body.
And the song is very dreamy. It's definitely fits the image. Very dreamy song.
Oh, but Luna Aura. Got
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. For me, it definitely plays well.
Yeah,
Submitted by Akel Lisa.
yeah. Why does he look like Kratos, man? From that PlayStation game. What's his name again? God of War.
Or Thanos.
No, he looks like Kratos from God of War.
Oh, God of War. Yeah.
Yeah, man, Kratos, man. Um, Now I think we're back at the dual light
Yes.
setup again, and although this is not new, but I like the faded at the dreamy aspect of it. I can almost see an entire face on the blue side fading into the light. You know, there's another face emerging from that fade. I'm not sure how we accomplished that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that his eye sockets are dark. I can barely see his eyes. In fact, let me make sure I open it on my phone as well. And that's from Akel, you said, right? Akel.
Yeah. Akel is a.
Yeah, his eyes are definitely hiding or hidden. The jawline with all that facial hair is definitely imposing. It's a good, it's a well executed image, but I don't get anything else out of it. It's just a very well executed portrait.
Yeah. The I as well get the dreamy, definitely the dreamy atmospheric look, and
Mm-hmm.
even beyond just the face, even the empty space surrounding him has that dreaminess
Yeah,
atmosphere to it as well too, that which is very well executed. um, it also has a technological feel to it. For some reason, maybe it's the soft blue lighting, um,
mm-hmm.
but definitely the.
Japanese tech,
Sorry.
very Japanese tech,
Yeah.
almost like Ghost in the Shell.
Yes, exactly. Ghost in Shell, neon. It has more of that neon feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like the areas that are sharpened up, like the cheek. He left the very natural skin. Then there's a little bit sharpness on the nose, and then the lips, and then the beard a little bit more. Um, what else did I have? I love the fact that like his face has very strong features. So like um, his eye sockets kind of cast a shadow where you cannot see his eyes. Which tells you a little bit more about his features, which I like. Um, I already spoke about the focus range, and how it fades back. Uh, and yeah, I like the little distortion too. It has a little distortion effect, in the background and on the side of his face that I appreciate as well too. And the music he submitted, it's pretty hard to find the song. I think it was only on SoundCloud. It's called Street Fever, Disgrace by Zone Dystopian Elements. Very techno song. And it fits. It's deep and techno. The next one is Safira Issa. Um, Probably, I'm guessing family. Well, what do you think of this one?
Um, Again, it's just use of like the dual neon light. I don't know when this became a thing. um, I can't make much of this except for the situation doesn't call for this dual lighting. You see what I'm saying? Like the sitting pensive, that pose.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, and I may sound almost unfavorable to this. There's a lack of effort here.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like, okay, I just want to participate. Let me just throw my shot in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's cute. It's thanks, I guess, but I don't see a story in this one. Like I can't, and I don't want to force anything onto it.
Yeah.
Is it a well executed image? Some would argue, but then again, it's cool. It's the cool rim light. It's the cool girl with the '90s little hair tie. You
Yeah.
know, but the situation, I don't think it calls for the scene. But the
Yeah.
light the color is definitely interesting,
Yeah.
for sure. But I can't find a story in this.
Yeah. Like the story that I can make sense of this is definitely the hands. The main focus point is the hands, and symbolically, it could, overall, with the hands, it could either be spirituality, praying, or it could also be in thought. And, praying, deep thinking, deep thought, there's a relationship between those two. So I thought that was very interesting. Lighting wise, I like the contrast of lighting. So if you look at the right side of her face, you see the pink highlighted areas, kind of the rim lighting, but then you have the blue background. And then on the
Yeah.
left side, you have the inverse. You have the blue rim lighting and the pink background. So I really like that play on contrast.
Definitely. That much was accomplished in terms of the nice sort of light play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was accomplished. Just yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to force it. Um, Song wise, it was Shelter In at Casa. And I thought the song was, for me, the colors were a little bit more intenser than the song itself.
Photo.
J Hustle Prime 93.
All right, so what do I'm getting like the Kimbo Slice vibe here.
The what?
Remember Kimbo Slice?
Who's that?
He was a street fighter. He was very famous. He was like a knockout king. Like nobody wanted to fight him because he would just like destroy them. But I get like the Kimbo Slice on this. Again, we have the dual light. There's a lot of red. There's a lot of neon.
Yeah.
There's I get the somewhat intensity, but he looks like a jokester though. Like I can see like he's a burly dude who's trying to look mean, but I don't get the mean from that. You know what I mean? Like I get the big teddy bear. Like you definitely like break your neck, but I get the teddy bear here. I get the like, nah, I'm not trying to fight. I'm just built like this. You know what I mean? Again, it's just another submission with the dual lights. Yeah, I mean, I get like the playfulness. That's kind of like what I get from him. A big dude, but like don't be afraid. It's really kind of cool. Like
yeah. What I got out of it is, like he's ready to beat your ass. Very confident. But I agree with kind of the jokingly kind of, he's kind of giving a wink too. But he definitely has, he's ready, he's confident look. Again, heavy texture on both sides, more so on the red side. And I just noticed the tattoo as well, Trey. Not sure if there's a meaning behind that, but yeah, like I agree with what you said. The song is, what's the song? Rufus Du Sol, Inner Bloom. Very powerful song. Very long.
I like that song. I like that. I like Rufus.
Yeah, very deep song. I love the song as well. And it fits. It fits the visuals.
Yeah, I like it. Shout out to J Hustle.
Yeah. So
Kakashan
Ansari.
I think
Very
it's
interesting name. What was that?
I think it's Ansari.
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 Didn't I say that?
No, you said Ansari. It's okay. They're chopping my last name all the time. We're gonna find out as soon as she sees this video. Like, oh, it's Ansari. I'll be like, oh shit, my bad.
I actually know her, so I should know better. I should know better.
This definitely caters to the intention of what the parameters that you set for the self-portrait. Mm-hmm. It is a play on light. There's definitely this dark, moody vibe, but it's not dark to the darkest. There's this nice transition of light that she's coming off of. You can definitely see this sort of exasperated, or should I say, air coming out of like her lungs, sort of floaty sort of vibe. I literally feel like she's floating in the background, right? And then
Yeah.
that flash of light, like going through the image, breaks, the softness of, even if that streak of light was not on the screen,
Hmm.
that streak of light that you're showing me right now, even if it wasn't on there, that still would have been an interesting um, mood because it's a deep, dark green, bluish sort of deep ocean sort of vibe. That reminded me of Ocean Lab actually. But that streak of
Open
light,
Lab is
Ocean Lab is a group, definitely very
music.
yeah. I can send you some very good track from Ocean Lab.
Okay.
You would absolutely, and I think for some reason that's what I got out of that image, and that streak of neon light, whatever, kind of brings me back to the Janet Jackson sort of era.
Mm.
I,
Yeah,
I'm
I do feel that.
yeah, I'm getting a lot of the Janet from this. I like the wild on her hair looks like you ever seen people do artwork with the Intuos tablets, and
Yeah,
sometimes they
yeah,
very
into it. Yeah,
defined,
the
very like
Wacom tablets.
yeah, that to me that looks like a digital sketch art.
Mm.
Um, it's actually very interesting. That's a very interesting piece. Very abstract, light, very undefined. I
Yeah.
like it.
The yeah, for me, I like the way how she's breaking the rules and kind of really pushing the boundaries, especially with the light at the bottom on the bottom right. That's very interesting to me. And what else? You can almost forget that lighting, but I think it's very abstract, especially the position of the lighting. I like how the lighting at the top splits up a profile into like three areas, and
The
I like,
composition works too. Like
yeah,
the
the composition is very strong. It's really pushing the boundaries, and I like the very subtle light behind her, um,
yeah, me too.
that kind of defines her profile, her face. And yeah, I think the song was a little bit too intense for the visuals.
Really?
A little bit. The song was DMV getting stronger every day. I
Yeah.
just felt they were a little bit too strong. It was a little bit too strong of a song.
Oh, that's from a video game.
Yeah, the visuals are from like female video game kind of vibes.
Okay, I mean, I can kind of see that. That see, I can see the fan art vibe from this,
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned
right?
the art at the beginning. I just didn't see. I didn't see it. I didn't see the art.
Yeah, that's
Like
very.
I didn't see the Wacom tablet art as much.
Yeah, well, curses of being a designer. Really like it. Really like the green. Really like the underwater vibe of it. I really like. I really really like it.
All right, guys. We finally, after 4 hours,
Inspiration.
dissecting all the images, we've come to the three finalists, and they are 2DWN, Jordan and Mateo, Claudia, and MJE. Mark, give us your take on the process and these three
All
finalists.
right. So it was definitely educational for me as well, simply
Likewise.
because I'm very used to my own photography and to look at other people's work and getting out of my own go-tos and really trying my best to look for the efforts and what people were thinking about and not necessarily be too critical. it was challenging simply because I am a photographer and we get set in our own ways. But I definitely love the challenge that a lot of you have put forth. And you may not even know that you did something so simple and yet something so great, which is why I enjoy photography, because I'm never done learning. And to come down to the three finalists was definitely a bit of a faff because so many were great, but we had to follow criteria and we had to follow initial gut reaction that an image made you feel. And a great photograph always makes you feel something. And I went with what I felt. So that was my take.
Yeah. And likewise for me, it was a long process, definitely a learning curve. But something I very much enjoy, and especially doing it with Mark, is really dissecting art, because that's what everyone submitted. Everyone submitted a piece of themselves. Self-portraiture is very personal. And, you know, it was an honor and a pleasure, you know, to talk about your take on your self-reflection, accompanied with your music, your mood, your style, and especially your creativity. So these are
your minds.
and your minds and your hearts. But these are the three finalists: MJE, Claudia, and Jordan and Mateo. We're gonna announce the winner right away, and then we're gonna name number 2 and number 3. Only the winner though can get the print. So
I'm excited.
Mark, you do the honors.
All right. So do you want to do number 3 to 1?
I'll do number 3 and 2. You do number 1.
All right.
Since you are a guest.
All right. So in third place we have. Claudia. And we'll let you know, of course, why we picked those images as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Claudia's image was, it told a story. It was very intimate, but it was also a very cognizant use of the light. It was intentional, but with what you had. It wasn't something that, I mean, I hope you didn't go and place some big ass light outside and do this. I hope you just walked by and you saw the light. It was like, oh man, that light would look. That's basically what I felt was really good about it. The composition, the presence, and I'm a sucker for black and white. So, Claudia, congratulations.
Yes, congrats, Claudia. My take on it was it described a specific mood, you know, very specific mood, from both the texture of the bed, the pillows, to the couch in the background. Your creative use of lighting was masterful. Again, I mentioned it before. It's not easy capturing an image with minimal lighting, you know, like showing the bare minimum, but still being able to tell the story, because, you know, it's a lot you cannot see, which is left up to imagination, which you nailed. The softness of your, you know, the limited visual softness of your face, your shoulder, you really express yourself, and your choice of music was superb as well. Yep. For number 2.
Oh, this is the part that's gonna be like.
Oh. Yeah, this is the big part actually. So for number 2, we
have
Jordan and Mateo. 2DWN. And the reason why we selected it was because you nailed the lighting. Minimal lighting, creatively. We don't even know how you got those shadows to work that sharp.
I don't even
worked it. The fact that you gave us not one person, but a couple that became one is superb as well too. And there's a lot of expressions, very strong character in your expressions, especially describing the time. And of course, you submitted your own song. So of course, that was the best combination of music and image you could give us. Mark, what did you think?
I love their submission because, um, you know, I grew up with 80s and 90s movies, right? And this is very Terminator, Top Gun. There's a 80s mood to this that is so that just takes me back, to the good old days of cheesy action movies. Um, but from a photographer perspective, the fact that you use the light like this and you were so conscious of it, and yet you put yourself in that position, and you each were telling your stories, but each story was matching that of the other, and then the ensemble ended up working so well, and in the deep black, and then you guys emerging out of it or dwelling in it made a compelling image, and it worked. So that congratulations on that.
Beautiful image, guys. And the last one,
And obviously,
Mark, take it away first.
no need to make like a big fuss because now you know who is the first one. It's MJE. So winner is MJE. Here's the reason
Tell us why.
that looks so good. And here's the reason why we picked MJE, guys. And from a documentary, initially, the documentary part of it, the storytelling part of the image, you cannot escape it, right? You can forget self-portrait, you can forget anything. From a photojournalistic approach, this is a story. The image tells a story without you having to say a word. There's so much to analyze. There's the soda bottle, there's the apple. What is she doing? Where is she at? And then to find out that she used the light of the fridge to light this up is even more, I don't know, amazing. I can't find any more word for this. Her facial expression, the tonality of the grays, the blacks, the whites, and in the story that is being told, especially during our time, this image wins on so many categories. Composition, the reflection. I can't say anything. I can't say much more about this. This picture is just very well executed.
No, MJE's image definitely grew on me. It definitely put me on a road of discovery, as did a lot of images. But the fact that you use lighting that only turns on when you open the fridge door, to me, was the most creative. And, it's far outside what I would have thought creative lighting could be. Again, what Mark said about composition, you're grabbing the last apple in a fridge, food scarcity, but also, the fact that, we might be eating too much even, from from the reflection, from your reflection at the bottom, which can be so symbolic. An apple can be so symbolic, and the overall, mood expression of your face, accompanied with a song that made us both laugh.
Yeah, that built like an entire scene in my head.
Yeah,
Jumping over the couch, hiding for the lasers, like
exactly.
the
Really,
last arc.
really made you definitely take the first place in this first episode of the photo assignment. You nailed it. You were creative, and we enjoy your image. So, MJE, you will be getting the first print. I'm gonna reach out to you, and you're gonna get a beautiful print of your beautiful image. It's been 4.5 hours almost. Mark, do you have any last remarks before we sign up?
The only thing I want to say is I cannot wait for the next assignment. I hope this is an experience for you guys to continue challenging yourselves and not just to win the print, but to also went at getting better at a craft that clearly is very popular nowadays. And the only way you can possibly grow fast is to go against your peers and go against yourself. And some of the photographs that I saw were absolutely well executed. So I don't want anybody to take away from this that they didn't win and they don't want to try again. In fact, you should try even harder. So shout out to Giano for having me, and shout out to you for even putting this together. I think this is the beginning of something great. I think this is going to grow into something even greater, and I'm here to support it as much as I can. So thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend. And for everyone watching, thank you so much. Thanks for all the submissions, the support. This is just the first episode. We are planning to do a lot more down the road. Again, I am putting everything behind this to do it every week. I enjoy this so much. This is definitely something that I can give back to my industry in the only way I know how to be creative, to push creativity, and to come together as a community to win a print. So
I don't want people to think that I wasn't doing it. You see all these notes? You see? It was hard. Okay, so.
So please look out. All the details are going to be in the bottom of this post. Check us out on Instagram at The Photo Assignment, on Twitter, on Facebook. Check out our website for more information at thephotoassignment.co. And thank you so much. Looking forward to the rest.
It's a wrap.
Ciao.